Greetings and salutation, League of Legends fans. For welcome to the next level with Sodaron. Here we are with another episode, another VOD review. What I have in store for you today is the Telecom War. KT vs T1 match number 56 of the LCK 2024 Summer Split. So here we go, let's get started. This is the point of the VOD where, the time of the VOD where I usually rant for 30 minutes, but I'm a little gassed out today. Heads up, I cut my finger pretty bad earlier today when I was cooking with a big knife, and that's kind of slowing me down a little bit. But no excuses here. Here we are again for another hard day of work. A lot of you out there are really mad about going and posting and being very negative on the internet and saying you're better than everybody, or like, well, Doran's a really bad player, or Bulldog's a really bad player on KDF. Well, they get up and work every day and grind. And so that's what we're doing here on the next level with Sodaron. I am here again for another VOD review. It's not under perfect conditions. I'm not in a science lab. I'm in my home. It was pretty bad enough that maybe I should have went to the emergency room. I don't know. I had a bandage on it earlier when I was cooking, and then I took a shower and took the bandage off. And when I did put the bandage on, it didn't bleed. Like I sliced it. I was like, uh-oh. And I've done this many times before. I worked in a kitchen before. I never let a little bit of blood stop me. I remember when I was working at Outback Steakhouse when I was younger, I took a prime rib knife on one of the busiest days of the year, and accidentally one of my coworkers was like, here, will you open this piece of plastic on this steak for me, or piece of meat or whatever? And of course he handed me a prime rib knife, which was like the dumbest thing you could ever do. And I went and just like sliced my finger. So it'll be okay. It's just a little bit of blood, but I applied pressure on it and bandaged it up before I took a shower, and then got out of the shower. And before the stream really pulled the bandage off, that it started bleeding again. But so I'm working through that. It slows me down a little bit when I'm typing, you know. But other than that, here I am. I'll have to finger press, but that won't really slow me down on the VOD review. A lot of it's using Epic Pen and using the stylus anyways. And really, it's just more fuel for the fire to help me get up here. And you start building a platform and getting on the soapbox and beating the dead horse to death every day, and you start to like it. And here I am. Ignore. I would like to update, but I can't do that right now. Epic Pen, I'm doing a stream. So there's our Epic Pen. I apologize. I don't have two monitors where I could drag this over here and make all this go away. But in due time, maybe we will have better hardware here on the next level with Sodaron. I am a bit of a conservative type of person, so I like to show you young kids out there that maybe you don't need a $2,000, $3,000 computer to be really good at League of Legends or whatever video games you're trying to be good at. I'm running a budget PC here. It's just like a $750 PC I bought back in 2019, right before 2020 and all of the stuff that happened. And it's probably time for me to upgrade soon. So I went ahead and made this LCK patch update note here, and I'll put it in the VOD link. But the LCK is really good at this. This was from the first video of the week, the first series. We're on, I think this is the third day. I don't know, you start doing this every day and it bleeds together and you forget what day you're on or what days were played. But there were some changes on the LCK. I'm showing you this because of my VODs, and I'm doing LCK VOD reviews. So this week the patch was changed, so I figured this might be important because we were on 14.13. And if you go back and watch my VOD review from yesterday, I did the G2 vs Fnatic series where they're on patch 14.13. So some of the things have been changed here. Disabled is Aurora. I haven't began to look at her or what she does. Typically the LCK, they'll make a global ban and just disable the champion because these teams don't have time to practice and figure out what Aurora does. So they just go ahead and take the ban away, which is good because it keeps the teams from wasting a ban on Aurora that they don't need. So it's globally banned, disabled, because again, they wouldn't play it and it would end up just being another ban that would take away from teams where they need other bans, like Rumble Top's one on the red side that's permanently banned. Now, it may change here. I forgot one thing. Hold on. I had my ceiling fan running in my room, and it was really starting to bug me. So, of course, if I put my headphones on, I wouldn't hear. I'm not out to get art. You can help me by following my channel. Art's not gonna add more viewers. It's really, you want to get good at streaming or you want to be famous or whatever you guys are trying to do, you have to do it every day. So art's not just gonna magically, it's not gonna make me catch lightning in a bottle and I'm gonna wake up, buy some art for $100, $200 from somebody, and then next day wake up and now I have 100 viewers. It's just not gonna change anything. I have pretty good viewership for what I'm doing here. I don't really expect too many people in my live chat because I'm doing VOD reviews and I have to pause and take breaks in between the games. Whereas maybe if I was playing a video game, it would be more interesting people and I'd have chat in here. So I don't really even expect live chat in here. I do have my hardcore followers that come in though and say, hey, and what's up, Sodaron, and I appreciate that. But it's not going to magically change my stream where I pay somebody $200 and then the next day I wake up and I have more viewers. It's more like the more streaming you do over time, you gain more viewers. There's no really point. You can't buy views. I can't buy viewership. It just doesn't work that way. And I'm a one-man show. I do my own art. I even have done my own art.
I can recommend stuff with Godot.
It doesn't matter. So kids out there, you're getting baited and you're wasting money if you're buying art. Now, I could see if I had people subscribing to my Twitch channel, then yes. If people were actually paying me subscriptions, I would put the money into art, and I could see that for my fans and help make my Twitch channel look a little bit better, but I don't think art's going to magically catch lightning in a bottle. I mean, I'm trying to put on a show every time. I'm not even like just randomly streaming video games. I'm trying to do like a 3-4 hour show every time. So anyways, the LCK has changed their patch to 14.14. Again, like I was saying, Aurora is disabled, which trying to get in habit using the Epic Pen more. Aurora is disabled, and the reason why is these teams work hard, and it's going to take away one of their bans that they don't need. And more than likely, teams aren't going to play it unless it's like a bro that's at the bottom of the LCK. They might gamble and try Aurora. But right now, it's just disabled this week, which is good. So Aphelios, his Q has been slightly increased. Again, the LCK does a really good job with their team and showing these champion buffs and updates and stuff. So that's why I'm taking the time to show you. I mean, even if you're an LEC fan or LCS fan and the patch changes over, you want a really good quick way to look at the updates of what's going on, go check out the beginning of the LCK VODs. This was the one for the first VOD series from this week, or first matches of the week, which again on my stream, on my content, I haven't looked at yet. So that's why I'm showing you this. And I just made my own presentation so I don't have to, maybe I should have done it on sheets, but I've just done the presentation so I don't have to go into the VOD and show you. Smolder's Q, his base damage was increased. I don't know much about Smolder. Jace's Q damage was increased, so look for Jace to be played more often. I'm glad of this Cho'Gath. I like Cho'Gath. I think maybe they need to rework him though and redo his kit. I tend to think that the older champions are more of like a glass cannon type, like Zed, like Zed's one. Trendemir's my favorite champ, but he doesn't have anything that's very dynamic. Where later on, starting in like season 5, maybe around like when Gnar came out, the champions started becoming more and more dynamic, meaning their kits add a lot more to a team, or like some type of area CC that the older champions don't have, so they just immediately get burst down and taken down. So it's like, it would be nice if Riot would go and instead of making new champions all the time, they would stop for like a season and go back and rework a bunch of the earlier champions, because some of them are very glass cannon. Like a Sivir's very glass cannon. So Zed's Q damage was increased. His E was increased. Now, I don't know the state of Zed, because the last time I've seen him play, they tried to make him a jungler, which back when Zed first came out, I played him in the jungle because where I had some super hard carry games with him. And it was first Insect that was playing Zed, but I really liked him as a jungler because his E could just clear through the jungle very quickly. Sion's W Soul Furnace damage was increased. So champion nerfs. This may make a lot of people very happy right here, because you're tired of seeing Corki and Tristana. So I don't think it'll really change much. Again, I've hit on it on my stream. I think a lot of Corki, why he's played, is his Q gives vision. And that's one of the main reasons. Vision is either vision or movement speed are the two most important stats in this game. And I would say vision. I don't know if you call vision really a stat, but ability. So you got a champion with free vision constantly with the W. And like I said, he counters Ivern, which I don't think a lot of people have caught on to, that Corki is a very good Ivern counter because his Q allows vision and brushes, and then you use Ivern's W on top of a teammate to save his life. Bam, Corki Qs them, and then you instantly have vision and can damage them. So Tristana, her base mana was increased, her Q rapid fire mana cost added, attack speed decreased, and her W rocket jump mana cost decreased. So she can W more. I guess they're saying that Tristana was doing too much damage, so they nerfed her damage a little bit and then gave her some mana back on the cost of the W. Corki, just the base health was decreased, so I don't know if that really changes much. I don't think this nerf here really changed anything. It's just like a slap on the wrist. This really doesn't change too much on Brand. Brand's still very strong. Zyra is still very strong. Plant damage adjusted. Yeah, I agree. Bonus damage to monsters decreased early. She was... I looked at it on my stream the other day where there were 3 people doing a Baron at 20 minutes because of Zyra's plants. So I'd say she's a little strong. Now, I don't know what time window Riot really looks at, because I don't really like 40, 50-minute long games. I like to see them end around 25 minutes. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to teach on my channel and my content as well, to help you kids out there get faster at closing out your games. The longer you go, you're just adding more and more frustration. I don't know what this KW whatever is down here. I apologize. Jax, his Counter-Strike, the cooldown increased early, so Jax was nerfed. His E was nerfed. Rumble, the Q Flame Spitter, base damage decreased, minion damage modifier adjusted, minion last hitting logic improved. So they're saying that there's some really wonky stuff, I guess is the word we'll say, or some sketchy stuff that Rumble's Q does to damage to the minions, and they've yet to fix it really. So they may have to just completely rework Rumble. He's very glass cannon. That, if you want to know a glass cannon champion, there's a very good example. Champion update. Now this is kind of cool. Maybe we will see this man in the jungle, but Aurelion Sol, base stats, base AD increased, the Q Breath of Light, initial mana cost increased, sustained mana cost adjusted, W Astral Flight, base ranged increased, E Singularity, mana cost decreased, slowing logic adjusted, and his ultimate R Falling Star, the skies descend, the damage increased, the skies descend, shockwave damage decreased. Hecarim, base stats, health growth increased, W Spirit of Dread, duration decreased, healing increased, and cooldown increased. I would say maybe that's hopefully that he can keep up with the AP junglers a little bit better now that he can heal more in the jungle. E Devastating Charge, the cooldown is adjusted. And then on to Nidalee. Her W Pounce, damage decreased, bonus 80 ratio added. E Swipe, damage decreased, 80 ratio increased, AP ratio decreased. I don't think this will really do anything to Nidalee. Riot has said that Nidalee is a very difficult champion to play, and that if you can master her, you'll be really good at jungling, basically, is what they said. So, if you want to get really good at jungle, master Nidalee. Patch 14.14 patch point. Rune, Absorb Life, healing, 2 to 20 linear scaling to 1 to 23 following base stat progression. That might be a pretty big change. Warmog's armor, Warmog's heart, health requirement increased, 1300 to 1500 bonus health. I don't know, that kind of sounds like Warmog's might even be better. I don't understand the support stuff and how you unlock the first support item and all of the bonus stuff you get, but something I need to look into. I mainly do jungle when I play solo queue, and I've thought really I need to maybe play support as a main, so that might be something that I do on down the road. So getting into the game. Now that my finger's messed up, maybe I can ride the back of the casters a little bit more in this.
Here at Lolesports, and unfortunately for T1, at their home ground, they suffered a defeat against KT.
T1, I did the VOD review. I didn't do the home ground VOD review.
Gives you some doubts about we immediately wanted to change our predictions, by the way. Both of us had this conversation immediately after.
I think I did. I've done T1 versus KT VOD review.
KT's going to win. They're not going to win. And I stand by that. I don't think it's going to happen. I think T1 2-0 is probably the most likely outcome
I
for
think
today.
Either in big draft disparities or major errors by owner, sometimes Carry at Guma making low impact in the game, Zeus having weak laning phases. And the irony for me is that the way T1 is lost has kind of been in weird, flippy underperformances, kind of like KT often do, right? And
maybe it's a Telecom.
I'm just reading. What are the 280 carries read on Ezreal? I guess that's my job to read because most people are too lazy to read, or maybe don't know how to read.
Makes it seem like you want to lean KT roles.
Trying to save my voice a little bit.
Many KT matches are. It feels like a complete
game score. Direction they are going to go from here. The coin, I think, eyes will be glued to death. I think we've got Viper, Magnetic. Shifting forward, he's taking arrows to the face.
Guess I should do the 10 second.
Is Faker going to play as T1 walk out? Is the form?
So this is a very must-win match for T1. If they lose this series, they may not get into playoffs.
Or second round of playoffs. That second place that's been so coveted. All the way back to 2016.
And then on the other flip side, it's a very must-win series for KT because if they don't win the series, they probably won't get into the playoffs. So this is a very important series, match 56.
And that was 2018. King's Own BDD was probably one of the best players that we saw in the mid lane since Faker was at his height, right? And of course, Faker gets back to that. And now
So I think the stats were saying that Faker's beat BDD 64 times to like a 45 times. I like to meditate like Faker as well. I try to get my mind off serious things around me and focus on what I'm just doing or the task at hand. So if you've not tried meditation and you have a lot of problems in your life and maybe you have addictions, maybe get into meditation. Maybe that would help give you a big key to unlocking and solving your problems.
It's crazy to think about when Faker versus Ryu happened in that incredible final.
I do meditate.
The Telecom war
is Boxer versus Flash.
Mainly I've been lazy and doing it at night before sleep or when I get up. I need to meditate more and take more breaks throughout my day. But I'm just saying, try meditation.
As well, which is super awesome. The fact that StarCraft 1 still exists as an esport is
It's a really good skill to have when you have people maybe giving you very negative comments, or you have anxiety and you need to stop your brain from having all these negative thoughts. You can sit and meditate and get your head to stop and just be in the present moment. Very important skill to have. I would say Faker must practice meditation for real. I do as well. I like to look at the art from the LCK because the fans are much more passionate and dedicated than, say, an LCS. The LEC fans seem very passionate too. Maybe not so much in the art, but for the showing up and the passion and the yelling and screaming. You can't get more hardcore than LEC. Okay, so into my ban thing.
Ezreal going to be banned away from Deft as well. A good idea. And there's the Jace, of course. The base damage buff.
1, 2, 3. We got KT on blue side, and we've got T1 on the red side. Which T1 in the past have been a team that prefer the red side.
What about the flamethrower Yordle guy?
He is probably going to be banned in this third and final spot. He's actually
Rumble has been a permanent ban. Now, again, we just showed that he was nerfed. So in theory, that might take away this permanent ban. This has been every match, like in the summer, has been a Rumble ban spot. There we go. So the nerf really didn't do much.
Also left up, and Perfect has had some really good performances on this pick, so they're going to prioritize that higher, but this means Owner now gets his pick of the litter, and Faker could, of course, wait and see what BDD is going to be playing. Could look for counter pick. If he wants to get the Azir, maybe now's the time.
I've got like Monte Cristo in the back of my head right now, Wolf, saying like, why are they first picking Renekton? And I love that it's KT.
I don't know why the first picked Renekton.
There, Monty is. Okay, let's see what the answer is going to be.
It's the
Shuriman theme, and I like this so much. The fact that Faker can go back to one of his all-time comfort picks and deny it from BDD at the same time.
Normally we've been seeing like first pick Sejuani on the blue side.
Over the last 2 weeks of play what works for you, play what you're good at, play your style. And with the Corki ban, this one becomes pretty self-explanatory.
Now Kennen, and that's something new we haven't seen in a while. Let's look up the stats. And thankfully now we're on patch 14.14, which we're not over in the LEC. As I'm typing, I can't type with all of my fingers. I'm having to poke with my big flat duct taped finger right now. Kennen has a top, and I've had a horrible headache, but I'm just working through. Kennen wins against Renekton 88% of the time. So 88% win rate.
Pick here into the Renekton can keep him at arm's length. The Vi Talia.
So Vi Talia.
Was locked in. You and I both knew that's the exact angle we'd be seeing with KT. So much single target here with the Renekton. You've got the Vi set up with the Talia shoves. And yes, the Kennen is great for team fights. So is the Azir.
Okay, so let's look at the Talia and Azir. Talia must be a counter to Azir. Talia wins against Azir 66% of the time.
But this is kind of KT's bread and butter here. And if we see any mistakes, any errors from T1, it's so easy to punish.
We need Lee Sin. That's what we need. I need Owner's Lee Sin. I need it locked in right now. That's not it. That's Poppy. Well, I mean, it's still pretty valuable, but I just felt like it was the time, Wolf. It was the time.
I don't know why the Vi, Piosek's not been much of an AP jungler like in Italy.
He's still good at that.
He has been incredible.
Vi counters the Sejuani, so that's one reason why the Vi. I'm guessing KT might have thought that T1 was going to. That T1 was going to take the Sejuani. Poppy into Vi. Poppy wins against Vi 40% of the time. No, we wanted Poppy jungle. And it's saying that she only wins against Vi 14% of the time. So Poppy is not a counter to Vi.
Shut down the Senna. Her ultimate is global as well, so BED can ult in and then.
Senna ban for T1.
Kalista ban though makes it look like we are still heading to a
Kalista ban for KT. Oh, they banned the Sejuani.
Banned on T1's side. I actually felt like Senna could have kind of fit into the composition, although I guess it would lean it very late game focused.
It's good. Owner needs to practice Poppy more because he struggled against HLE, and I'm sure he will need that experience when T1 comes around to playing HLE again.
Does make a little bit of sense.
See if they want to ban. I mean, it'd be really bizarre, but they could even ban like Xayah here. It's one of the times when Xayah is relatively viable because she has a great setup in this comp, and the single target blow up is actually pretty easy for her to get out. She dodges the first part. Yeah, and she can avoid the rest as well. As the Alistar will get banned. The Misfortune was the other option I was thinking about. Is they took the Alistar away from Keria, but
T1 first picked the AD in this matchup, which means that they can get countered.
To the Azir ultimate, and
I'm
not learning the lesson. I don't know if we're learning the lesson.
I don't know what the Misfortune in Xayah is. Why do you reset? Very low play of Misfortune right now. So we may not have any stats. That's what I say, Zaya. So I don't know. I guess we could go back and look at the patch before. Very little Misfortune. So we don't know. I don't know what the matchup of maybe Zaya is a Misfortune counter. Couldn't tell you.
You can dodge the poppy ult, yeah.
And I don't want to be one that claims things and I don't have the stats to back it up or lie to you. I'd like to be honest. So Rakan into Renata Glass.
Feathers can be a good follow-up, and if you're the one who's constantly setting up the engages with the Vi, Talia, with the Renekton engage, and you're ahead, it doesn't matter. It still works. You know, you're going to close that gap. The low range isn't going to be an issue. There's so much insane keep away and turn here in T1's composition. They've got the strong early game Poppy here.
Okay, now let me look. So game one. Game one draft. Oh, my finger. I can't type. Game one draft. Got my little notes on it. We were going to look up Rel and Rakan. Rakan wins against Rel 59% of the time. Well, it is T1 and this is against T1. So the world champs, they can play picks that counter them or should be able to. And that's some of the difference when you get up into the top tier LCK teams and LPL teams. They can play bad matchups and still win because you get to a certain point where you're just mechanically superior to a player. So you guys want to be on that level in solo queue, start practicing. It's more about the game, the amount of games you put in. You want to master Lee Sin, well, you better get 2,000 games of Lee Sin under your belt before you start going around saying you're good at Lee Sin. Because there's players out there like an owner that's probably played about 10,000 games of Lee Sin or more. So that's how you get good. It's just the more games you get under your belt. That's why I keep telling you, you're wasting your time playing 40, 50-minute long games in solo queue that sometimes you might be better off just for a week doing a practice tool like I said. You can at least get like 50 games under your belt in a week or 100 games. At least the first 10, 20 minutes. I can close the game out in 20 minutes or less in the practice tool.
I think T1 win out every time.
Yeah, it's looking like,
you know, race yourself. You get bored, do the practice tool thing, learn to close out the game, learn to get quicker and quicker and quicker. Those skills will adapt over to the solo queue or will go. There's a word I'm looking for, but I lost it, so maybe it'll come back to me. So this is where I look at the warding stuff, because here on the Sodaron stream, the next level, I have done vision coaching, and I think that's really where you make the plays from anyways, is you get vision, which allows you information of your enemy, and then you with your team through communication make plays through that. Is the jungler's flash down? Well, let's find him in his own jungle and make a play on him. Those are how you make plays. You don't just randomly go, oh, I caught the guy, let's go in on him. So one thing weird already is Perfect here has the sweeper lens top lane. Barrel here has the sweeper lens on Rakan. And then T1 don't have the sweeper lens. And I would say it's about 45 seconds in the game right now. Don't quote me. Maybe 35 seconds.
And already we have vision turned off, and Carrier.
Oh, and Carrier, I don't think KT expected to find Carrier there.
He looks like he's calmly.
Great play on T1 because Carrier didn't have to burn flash. You know, he burned Hextech flash, but he'll still have his flash here in another minute. I don't know if he got a ward down.
I would have had a small heart attack.
Guma is making a very aggressive play here down in the enemy jungle. You really shouldn't do this if you're in solo queue. I would say some of the reason he's doing it is Faker is coming over this way as well. And as I say before, you kind of do man-to-man and fan out in the river to try to find your opponent. So the only one we got right now is Zeus finding Perfect. And also KT knew where Carrier was, or they found him.
At least he reacts very quickly there. Will lose his flash, so definitely a net negative.
I guess Guma gets a really nice deep ward. So what allows him to do this, though, was all of KT were over here. So might be a bad, at least T1 do some type of retaliation here and do something on the bottom of the map. So this will allow T1 to make some type of aggressive play early in the middle lane or the bottom lane.
Will really weaken.
Nope. Hex Flash activation before 1 minute. That is Carrier absolutely.
And also good warning for Guma, because that'll allow the T1 bottom lane to play aggressive and overextend this line I preach about. That there's this imaginary line that runs through the river. Very off right there. I could do straighter. And there's a tool too that allows you to, that I don't even try. A lot of it's because I get an ad. Yeah, I don't know how to use that. Huh. I guess it's because I have the free version. I guess that's why. You must not be able to get the line in the free version. So I have to draw them crooked like this. But that's where you, with your eyes, straighten out the crookedness. We don't live in a perfect world. So I think some of you who are younger need to realize that. So that was a pretty straight line. But you imagine a perfectly straight line running from here, there, and it divides the map in half, and you got the red side here, and you got the blue side here. So here Guma is over on this red side, or on the blue side of the map, with some information. I didn't take my little buddy out before I started the stream, so now I feel bad for him. But I'm going to try to get through game number 1. I think it's more that he heard neighbors come home, and so it woke him up. So, again, imaginary line that splits the map in half. And anytime you're over that line, regarded whatever side you're on, red or blue, if you're on red, you go over the line, you're on blue side, you're on the enemy side of the map. You shouldn't be over that line unless you have some vision like Guma has right here, or you have flash, or you have a teammate around you. So right here, Guma has a ward, and he has Faker right here. Like Faker did come down while Guma went over and put this ward down. Moving forward, I could sit here and talk about this stuff all day. So Carrier gets his ward at the Void Grubs area.
Hex Flash, it's like, oh, totally worth.
I know, and it
Or Carrier.
you're allowed to do it.
I think I said Carrier.
Feels like a
I might have said
fountain.
Guma.
I do it every
Carrier.
I flash out a fountain
Uh-oh.
to get to that pixel brush a little
Barrel,
bit.
he did something I don't understand in this game because he didn't take the... One thing I've been preaching that he takes is he took Cosmic Insight this time. And I really like when he took Ghost Poro and Zombie Ward as a secondary rune. I do know I watched this. I watched some of this earlier when I had time and was waking up. And I saw Owner running this on Italy, and it was working very well. Where he had, it was Ghost Poro or Zombie Ward, and it allows you with a sweeper lens to get free vision, and it looked like it was doing very well. So I don't know why Barrel isn't running this. He was the first one I caught on to that does this, but this was weeks ago.
Lying in wait.
Maybe KT are overconfident in this match.
Early. Might be just
Guma's
a
on
little
barrier.
at level 1.
Could be MF gonna get that big first auto, and if she could set up the press the attack, feels nice. But Carrier is.
Now I see BDD got a ward.
Shout out to Swarm, by the way. That miss.
Yeah, no Zombie Ward, no Ghost Poro secondary in this game.
Fortune skin.
Yeah.
Very cool stuff. I am very much looking forward to going and playing more of it this evening. And I'm very proud of myself for making
So
it
BDD got
today.
a ward here at the Raptors.
Appreciate it.
Now Faker doesn't have a ward down, but he does have this ward that will allow him to extend and pressure this lane.
I'd give it a 6. I want to give it a 6. That helps me. It's all right. You can see, double up.
You know, this ward here
As Deft to Barrel are going to have
allows BDD to overextend and apply pressure to his lane and go over this line that I preach about.
So in the top side of the map, we do see the Kennen starting to get some small advantages there. Owner is pathing.
Now Kennen should
top lane, but Perfect is playing
win this.
here.
Zeus should win this lane pretty easily, so he should be overextended like the whole laning phase.
Because that could really put Pioshik behind.
Yeah.
Owner's down here doing what you want to do. If you want to win, he's taking some farm away from and allowing pressure for Zeus here. Now maybe some of what him allowed to be here was he had a ward that just went out.
Ward goes over. Perfect moving on in now.
This might hurt KT later on, where Piosek might need that ward and he won't have for a gank or some play later on, where T1 might make a play from this. It looks like Piosek and Perfect are going to be goners right here. Faker's a little late.
In an extraordinarily uncomfortable position. Seismic shove is going to miss, and oh my goodness, is it going to work? The turret!
Zeus's flash is down. Perfect's flash is down.
In the end, as we just come down here to see a little bit of a crash down, but is it going to be too impactful?
BDD's teleport is down.
Really well played by T1. Owner comes over and starts threatening Pioshik.
So again, I preach, I want teams to get the dragon at 5 minutes. So I want teams to be set up to take the dragon, which it's looking like T1 might be. They've got a ward here, they've got a ward on the scuttle, or the scuttle crab vision at the top side. I think they got this.
Pioshik and Owner also did flash, of course. Owner has the Hex Flash. Pioshik will get his blue buff.
But they look like they might be set up to take the early dragon. They've got vision down here around the dragon pit.
They pick up the first blood as well.
Yeah, really nicely done here by T1. As waves are picked up though, and things are sort of normalized. It's not like it has.
Now Piosek doesn't have a ward for this.
Outside of first blood being what T1 were able to pick up. This is a big crash. Pioshik's level 3.
Owner and
Zeus still
Piosek switch to the sweeper lens.
There's the Vault Breaker to get Pioshik out.
I mean, Owner's just,
So Owner made a good move there, and I don't know if he knew exactly Piosek was there or not.
Just wants to come over here. Needs to get his Krugs anyways, but will also shadow the York.
Carrier did the Scryer's Bloom, and now T1 have vision of this area, so it looks like they're set up to take the dragon. They could be taking the dragon right now.
It's going to be a big trade win for Faker here in the mid lane. It is going to be a CS advantage for BDD at the moment. And he was also able to roam up, sort of the power of being able to surf on the walls. I don't know about that one, Beryl, but it's going to be a 1v1 between Gumayusi and Deft right now.
I saw Owner get Scryer's Bloom vision of this jungle area where he's going.
It's a good trade for KT.
Maybe the blue buff's up again. It looks like Owner's going to take the blue buff away from Vi.
Is sort of helping out here for Deft and Beryl.
Or Grant. I'd rather see T1 down here just taking the dragon right now. We see Palisek getting the Scuttle Crab.
And once again, the top pressure is real. I mean, Perfect is not in the game. He has a kill.
Zeus will have a teleport, so he might be able to come down and help with dragon.
Yep, Slicing Maelstrom is going to be used on the minion wave, and now Perfect just trying to get towards it. Wants to get the mana as wants to get the experience. As Ono was tanking this one up. We've got dives everywhere, though, as Beryl goes in.
A lot going on.
That's going to be the crash down from Carrier to try and buy some space. And Gumayusi should be falling here somehow. It almost worked, but it is going to be the 1 for 2. And T1 just kind of winning everywhere. Yeah, this is a disaster for KT Rolster. Pyosik felt so hard.
So T1 take the Void Grubs, which are really going to help the top lane matchup, which looks really bad already. 24 CS to 54.
We'll talk about that in a moment when we get to that, but this is of course what happened moments before this as they're trying to zone Perfect out of this wave. Owner comes in, pushes him into the wall here, and even though the stun isn't perfectly set up here by Owner, it doesn't matter. Zeus gets the stun. It's a big wave, and Perfect can do very little here. Decides to try to go back in. Unfortunately, not a great idea there. And then Beryl, engage doesn't go the way he wants. Crash down is great from Carrier, hits the 2-man. Beryl flashes, nearly dies, of course.
Yeah, they almost got Beryl.
Double up, excuse me, and does go down, and then Pyosik is just all alone.
They almost got all three. T1, that is.
It's so hard to make that work. If Beryl hits the knockup, maybe that ends up going a lot better, but unfortunately not to happen.
Okay, the item power spikes.
Now find themselves nearly 2,000 gold behind.
Guma and Deft are pretty even here.
While Carrier was level 5 in that particular dive. So just showing that things haven't necessarily gone the way that Pyosik really wants.
Poppy's getting a good bit ahead of Vi.
Jungle to clear at this point in time. You can see 1,000 gold lead for Zeus on the top side. An understandable lead for the Cannon, but it is red everywhere. And T1 have them right where they want them for now. But it is only 8 minutes into the game. And KT's composition does have some skirmishing and team fighting with it.
I don't know why Pyasek's going top too. Like I felt like he's gonna go for a dive here. I don't know why they're gonna dive the Cannon. They I guess they think twice. Might have been because Owner went in and stole the Gromp. Okay, he's on the Gromp now. That was like 2 minutes ago when we were talking about that. BDD makes a roam bottom. Faker stays in the mid lane. And looked like BDD was going to be a goner as well. So that just allows Faker to shove this turret. I don't think Pyosek here is going to really be able to do anything.
There is just no winning on the map here. This is reminiscent of the Genji Pro game we watched where it was just not...
Now BDD teleports to the mid lane. His teleport's down. I don't know why they're not going for dragons. Not the way to play if you want to learn to play League of Legends and win. It's more of like a... I don't want to say a negative word, but a contest. Like whoever has the bigger hat contest.
Some Shuriman friends are going to be able to take down the little Pikachu guy as T1 now looking to try and answer, but Beryl pretty slippery. Does have Blast Cone at the ready, and Faker still just taking plates and securing more money for the team, but that is actually a good little
So got a 2k gold lead here. So looking at the items, Zeus is on Isleandri's Torment already, whereas Renekton's only on Mercury Treads.
Present issue is what's happening down here in the bottom lane. He is going to commit the teleport. This will be seen by the way.
Again, you want to try to hit 10 CS at, or 100 CS at 10 minutes. That's your goal. That's what you need to be working on solo queue, and then you get good at that. Then you get 200 at 20. That's your goal. And then you can hit the right itemization like you see in these pro matches.
Oh, absolutely. A win topside, a plate goes over to perfect. Yes, he's super low eco to where you'd want to be.
So usually you get your one item like 15 minutes in the game, so Kennen's ahead already.
Picks up a kill.
Poppy's ahead already.
Is a success. They take Guma out of the map. He is significantly down on farm as well, and the gold is very even here between these two, as the stun does connect despite the flash, and then the seismic shove comes through. It's just so many different single target setups here for KT to utilize. BDD this time, while he will lose more plate gold, is able to make it done.
Okay, so T1 taking the Void Grubs again to help accelerate this top lane matchup. It's already really far ahead.
As we have
30 CS.
Going over to T1. Going to be Owner securing, I believe, all 6 of them. Pyoshik not interested in fighting for these. I don't even remember where Owner managed to take the last ones, but I think it must have been when some of the shenanigans was going on. So that is going to be T1 with a big advantage as far as getting this push happening around the map, and they already have so much lane control. It's going to mean that if BDD does... Oh, never mind. Speaking of BDD, they do get the shove onto Beryl underneath the turret.
Ooh, I was going to say...
Nicely done there from Faker. Still has to put that ulti on.
Nice save from Faker with the ult right there. I thought he was a goner. Faker's ult is down.
Relatively unsuccessful in terms of the gank there. BDD is able to hit the combo.
Zace's flash is down.
And we'll be able to maintain CS parity here. This Beryl should get out of here no problem.
Rel gets a bunch of poke down on Rakan.
Start to see the power of this composition for T1 because, okay,
Vi's got his Sundered Sky. That's really bad when you're losing your top laner under his own turret.
Leandri's doing some work here, and this item advantage is just gigantic.
Guma's on his BF sword already, so he's on his one item. Now his boots are behind.
Just be like, I'm a big boppy, and I'm just gonna bop you. And that's kind of how it goes. Like,
Supports on their one item.
And I mean,
that's another thing. You gotta hit, if you're a support, you gotta hit this one item by 10 minutes, which is very difficult to do in solo queue.
On the plays for a lot of the game because you have lack of map control. It's harder to make those. And then later on in team fights, we haven't even really seen the power of...
Kedden's so far ahead, he's getting his Farsight ward already. Farsight stone. Faker's now on his one item with boots.
KT have traded back some kills, right? They're only about 1,300 gold behind. But this Renekton is just never going to be relevant, it feels. Even with the kill in the plate he picked up earlier, he's just so far behind that Pyoshik can't even try to put the fire out. He's just like, sorry, man, it's doomed.
Yeah, I feel like Perfect there kind of knew that he was dead.
There, BDD gets his first item. His teleport is down.
You know, he's like, this is the lane that I'm going to be successful in. And he's going to park himself here once again. Might be another dive opportunity as Beryl sweeping out some vision. And BDD's coming down as well. Should mean that at least the turret is going to be taken. You can see the bottom lane sort of moving back in, but this just leaves...
See, Guma is rotating mid, which is what you need to do because this turret's going to be gone up top. But when your first turret's down, you want to rotate to the mid lane if you're a bottom laner. If you're a bottom laner that wins your lane all the time and you say, well, I win lane, but I don't know why I lose the game, I have bad teammates. It's because once your turret's down, you want to be mid lane, like around 15 minutes, which T1's a little bit early in this game.
This player, why he always does the Z for Zeus, but also for Kennen in the Thunderbolt, you know.
Itemization on Renekton, I don't really understand because we're seeing other teams take the Eclipse, which really helps for the Baron fight at 20 minutes.
And I think the reason why is because KT still have
the shielding and just the healing you get.
Now kind of going to be reliant on T1 overstepping, somebody making mistakes, because the agency you have as KT with the lack of map control you're going to very soon be feeling is going to be
Deft is caught up to Guma now.
Set something up beforehand. But this cannon
Again,
can
the
do whatever he wants. He's going
like I
straight
caught
up.
on to or say on my stream, I like this stat that the LCK shows the jungle lane proximity.
Cease and desist has much less value if you can get it off before Pyosik gets in. And often,
So
you just can't,
Pius
right?
X
Because
never
you
even
have to
helped
press the button
BDD in
and
this
it
game.
works.
Yeah.
It's about whether Beryl can actually get these exhausts in the right times in these team fights. And it's all just going to hinge on that. And even then, I think maybe he's just too strong, you know? As Beryl's moving on over, just being a little bit frustrating here as this Cloud Drake is going to be secured. It's
BDD's played well into Faker. He's staying even and got a takedown.
Should be fine.
Yeah, he'll be alright.
When you go to for the Crypt Bloom second and you are winning this game this hard, the item just feels so snowbally as well. I mean, it's got good stats.
And T1 really are 5 minutes behind. They could have another dragon.
It's still very, very strong.
So
and
5
it-
minus
the
5
passive of the
minutes.
heal is actually just going to allow T1 to even overwhelm harder in these team fights. Potentially, again, we're talking about what this comp can do. We haven't really seen it in a real 5v5 yet because KT is
Because what you're trying to do, win the game at 20 minutes, 25
in
minutes.
these lanes. Renekton catching minions, what little of the economy he could pick up, he is going to try to soak up. Went Stridebreaker, which is, you know, I mean, considering their comp, it's fine. It's sticking on one target, but
it is a good team fighting item, and I think that that's where Perfect has to try and
Misfortune
find some
gets steel
relevance, right?
plate
He has
caps.
a single target stun, which is pretty good for setup for BDD.
Yes.
And that is what he's built for now.
I think there were some changes on boots in this patch, or maybe it's the next patch that they're wanting to change the boots. Like Riot's saying that boots are too OP and that they're wanting to nerf them.
Desire
So.
is farming well. Does have 1.5 items now completed. Gumishi on 2 is going to be pretty threatening.
One thing they were saying are Mercury treads are way too
Haven't
strong.
really seen anything to show us how the shape of this game is going to look as it goes on, right? Because we haven't seen any sort of 5v5, any sort of setup.
I don't think Carrier face checked that brush. I think that he had a ward in the brush. Okay, so Perfect loses his flash and an ultimate for no reason. Carrier's ult is down, Guma's ult is down, Faker's ult is down, Poppy's ult is down.
Unfortunately, Atlas, we've been talking a lot about 5v5 fights. If Renekton is not a champion in this game, I don't know if we're ever going to see any 5v5s. Maybe 4v5 is the best KT can hope for. As like you said, he's going to be a stun button.
I don't know why the Stride Breaker, again, the Renektons I see that are successful use the Eclipse.
Sure, Guma's ult didn't get a ton of value in terms of
And it has a shielding and just the HP, and, or the HP, the healing just helps his kit and the lethality. And I've seen the shielding on the Eclipse take up a lot of damage at a Baron fight that turned the game.
The Xayah in the lane, 20 CS up, been able to farm pretty well, but it doesn't necessarily matter because it's Xayah and there isn't setup for it and the rest of the map is on fire. And I think the MF, even slightly less economy, she's not that far behind, is still going to have a huge huge part to play in this game. And this particular team fight just makes sure that KT can't continue to chase here. As Owner's very low, Keria also low.
Then Kennen comes in as well, clean up the fight.
That would have just meant the end of the game for KT Rolster.
It was so close, man, to both of those kills.
So, getting around Baron time, Faker has his Seeker's Arm Guard. That might make T1 fight the Baron earlier. I talked this in like the last series I watched. I think it's T1 played against Fox where they lost, and T1 hesitated around like 20 minutes or so because at a Baron fight because it seemed like Faker wasn't ready, and then there was lag, and then they lost the Baron. And it just really looks like Faker and will not take the Baron until he has 2 items. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe now that he has the Seeker's Arm Guard, because he has some type of engage or disengage, maybe T1 will go for the Baron earlier at 20 minutes. But more than likely, they won't go for Baron until they have the Zonya's Hourglass.
But at least in this first game, bouncing back in a big way. And I do look at, you know, this rapid fire cannon for Deft as kind of a symptom of the greater issue here in this Xayah. I think it's a great item for the Xayah. Is going to give her that first big auto, and we'll be able to help set up Feathers potentially here. It is going to be very key, but the question is, will they ever have the start of that chain CC onto a key target when Poppy is also getting really tanky in this game, also has Steadfast.
See Baron Dragon up in 15 seconds. I see Owner just got his Warmogs.
Too perfect. Okay, that looks much better.
So he's on 2 items.
2,000 with 3 zeros is too much.
I was thankfully not alive.
Cannon's on 2 items.
Very, very good.
Faker just got his Black Torch.
All right, T1 setting up for a dragon. This is going to be
So instead of going Baron, T1 go the Dragon.
Not the greatest of dragons.
Maybe if Faker was on his 2 items, they would have went straight for Baron.
And we've got a Renekton on a flank, or a handbag on a flank. We're not entirely sure. He's not in the greatest of spots
BDD's
right now.
ult is down, or he's channeling his ult right there.
Too on this back, so he's got so much survivability here, and
Ooh, Owner able to collect this. I believe that was actually the Q. I think
Or the ult was resetting.
secured it with the Q in the end.
yeah.
Still.
I was just looking what's up for this team fight preparing. It looks like a team fight's brewing.
Yeah, and Zeus on a flank angle as well. Looking
Barrow
to
won't
break
have
out
his
this
flash,
position.
so Barrow would be
Making his way
one
forward.
to
He's spotted
catch
on the
out.
control ward, and there we go. Perfect, still gonna get
Perfect
back.
doesn't have his flash either, so he's another one to catch out, which is what's going on in front of our eyes.
It's just whether or not KT can find anything as a result of it, and the answer is going to be maybe mid lane
So-
out turret, and I think, okay, never mind.
Looks like KT decide to play pressure here in retaliation, but it doesn't do anything.
Zeus still had teleport too, so
Faker's
even pushing
about to
up
have his
into that
teleport
mid
back
turret was
up.
Probably a little bit scary. You don't know what angle he could have. They weren't able to
And
protect
so
him.
because of this, KT lose the dragon.
Not necessarily, they didn't know. Maybe he's teleporting back in. We're all about to die. We might lose the game right here, but they were at least able to try to chip away at this and get some control of the river back. Perfect has TP in 10 seconds.
Oh,
Too late.
this dragon is still up and available. Faker is going to go golden, but there's the quickness. The bullet time is gigantic, though. And even Faker's sweep is going to work beautifully. Now,
I didn't think KT were going. I could check out the positioning and go more into in depth on that fight, but a lot of it's the itemization here.
He's like, where did my friends go?
Well, you know,
Cannon's on 2 items, Poppy's on 2 items, Faker's about to be on 2 items, Guma's about to be on 2 items.
And that's before this Baron goes over because it's going. And I mean, you had a very
Faker's even gonna teleport to Baron and help. Oh, or just shove the mid lane. Take advantage of the Void Grubs.
Super far behind, but Faker bought that Seeker's arm guard. He had the extra eco with some of that extra plate gold to pick that up. Didn't finish his Leandri's. Isn't that as interested in that because he just knows that if he has enough money to buy the stopwatch, he will be.
I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Void Grubs are worth a lot more than the Dragon.
As look at KT here, they think, okay, we collapse onto Faker, we have Weaver's
I
Wall
just think
over.
overall,
Great
the
job front line
4
against
dragons
the
with the
Bulldogs
soul are the
already.
most
Yes,
important.
He doesn't end up getting hit here, but look who's also being defensive, who's bodyguarding Faker. It's Guma over the wall, and the cannon ultimate is just really for cleanup. This really, I feel like, sinks into your brain when you watch this team fight. How many other ways T1 could have won this?
If you
But
hear
they
my
just
dog
say,
snoring
Faker,
on my
you know
lap,
what?
I
We can both defend
apologize.
the turret and get the dragon. You've got the stopwatch. It's going to be fine. We're completely set up. There is just no way in for KT.
And that was a 4v5.
So we got Owner taking the red buff away from KT.
Obviously not going to work out just there.
Again, I look at the map this way.
Towards his top side to try and at least
When the
guarantee
turrets
that
are
they get
down,
this bounty
it's
goal, but
about this much of the map belongs to T1.
for T1 at this point in time.
So KT can barely go outside of their base,
This is
just
kind
to
of
their
like the
first
advantages that B&K were getting,
first
where
turrets.
They were the ones picking up all of the neutral objectives, but also winning the fights, winning the map, taking the turrets. And this is the T1 that
BDD
we
might
grew
be
to
too far
expect.
out, and
That we haven't
T1
seen
for
for
some
a
type
couple
of
of
team
weeks.
fight here.
They are going to be able to
Would
break
be
those
good on
trees here
T1.
the bottom side of the map. And I think that I don't see really a way back for KT unless there is some sort of miracle.
Yeah, I think BDD was maybe hoping
Miracle.
for a crazy flank there, but no one's vulnerable.
Well, it's trying to throw some rocks on the ground and things like that.
So looking like T1 are playing better than the last match.
Just sort of looked at
One thing, another good item into Renekton, Ramble Vest, cut down the healing on his
This is
Q.
still a pretty good Rebel Baron power play, sitting at 2.2k. still a minute left.
Faker's got the Zonyas now.
Yeah, it's really just quite a clear advantage.
And
here for
Kennon's got
T1
the important
in
item too,
every
the Seeker's
single
Arm Guard, which
sensitive.
I think that's a
Also
better
playing
second
zones,
item.
by the way, instead of
The
going for
Zonyas
the
on
cheese
Kennon.
finish, just saying, "All right, well, I like that
So you
chase." Again,
can
that was pretty
engage or
helpful for me in the
disengage
last
with the
fight.
Kennon ult.
And who does he really need to burn health off of?
But what do I
He's
know? I'm not a
so
top
far
tier
behind. There's no
professional
traditional
player,
tank
right?
in this composition, really. Renekton being the bruiser here.
Maybe they're more worried about the amount of damage you're going to get in a team fight.
Is pretty necessary.
But
And you've got the locket on.
I would rather have the Zonyas like a second item.
As he always does.
I just think it's better
It's
when you
just so
alt,
hard
or
to
you
predict
can
because
use the Zonyas while
KT
ulting on
out.
Cannon,
Be
so
it flank,
just like
you
Rumble
don't
can
have a strong
ult
Renekton to do so.
while
You
using
get
the
thrown
Zonyas
off
Hourglass, so
right
some
now.
type of engage or
You're just solo
disengage
grinding them out of the game.
and still survive. But like Cannon, you can Zonyas Hourglass and still do damage with the ult at the same time. I think that's very valuable. Or like Fiddlestick's ult, same thing.
So that will stem the bleeding somewhat, but it is still so dark on this rift, as you can see. A couple of control wards here or there.
So Dragon up in a minute.
He can take a wolf camp. That is the only place he's allowed to go in his jungle.
And it looks like that's where T1 is going,
It's the only
to
place
the
they're
Dragon.
safe. The Dragon, which is sold for T1, is up in a minute. Baron is up in 3. I don't know if this
Faker
gets to
getting
that
his
point
blue
if KT
buff.
decide they want to challenge this. Perhaps the best course for KT is to just
I
pull
doubt
for an Elder Flip,
KT's
hope
blue
he
buff
lives
is
long
up.
enough for that, but Baron will be up long before that, and I guarantee you T1 will actually go and take it and prevent you from taking that. There's just no great options here. And as long as T1 kind of cross their T's, dot their I's, it's hard to find the angle. They're farming, they're trying to scale up a little bit.
Aguma's got the Infinity Edge.
About to be a full item
So
behind
he's
the
on
dome.
3 items.
Takes
He's
some
got
off his
some
back.
really insane
Just a rod.
Yeah.
But
healing right now with
I
the
think
Immortal
best
Shield
way
Bow
for
and the
KT to
Blood
maybe win
Frenzy.
this one is just
Or
defend
Bloodthirster.
and
Blood
then
Frenzy.
defend the Baron
Blood
and
Frenzy.
then
That's
look
from
for an Elder Flip,
EverQuest.
But I just think the Baron ends the game. If you try to fight the Baron, you lose out.
There's
The
a
problem is it's such a clear-cut wombo
a
combo
mob
for
that
us
drops a
as well.
really
So
important old
if
school
they're ever in
item
a
called
safe
Blood
scenario,
Frenzy.
Then Carrier presses Magnet Storm and there's a bullet time. And what does KT actually
Drops
do?
the first haste belt you
And
can
do it
get.
actually when there's an Ocean Soul on top of
Actually,
it.
the second haste
News
belt you
that
can get.
KT's
There's an even more
farm
difficult
requires you
one to
be ahead.
get,
It
but
requires you to be able to set
it
up
has
the same
worse
speed.
haste.
If you catch Guma even, which will
50
never happen, but if
or
you do,
15%
it's not
haste
barrier,
to
he's gonna
the
be able to live long enough to where your other
25,
carries, Faker, your other
22% you get
hyper
on the
carry
Blood
Cannon that's got
Frenzy, the
FF cap and
flowing
also
black
has
silk
an arm guard,
sash.
will do the work anyway. So, like we were talking about in the draft, if you're even
Maybe it's
in the game, if you're not
25%. I
ahead
think
at
I
all,
think
you're
it's
not
below
massively ahead, for the sake of
25%.
the game as KT, it gets really tough to play out. But if you're this far behind, the draft is just borderline unplayable.
Yeah. We're seeing that. You've got,
It looks like Kennen went for the death cap instead to... Now that, I agree with that.
But you can see these bounties aren't going anywhere anytime soon. 9,000
He'll
gold
probably
lead,
just need
45
one
seconds
Seeker's
to have the
arm guard charge here, but if you're playing in solo queue, get the Zonyas.
Next, 3 items done here for Gumayushi, who has sort of just slowly but surely been doing what he needs to
Faker
do.
sneaked off and got a Leandri, so he's sitting on 3 items before 30 minutes. That's your target goal, is 300 CS, 30 minutes, 3 items.
His Infinity Edge that he desperately wants to
Give or take, plus you throw in the boots. I don't know what you call the boots. Are they half an item or 1 item?
Carrier not going to be able to quite find him with the Magnet Storm there. And so at least
Maybe boots is considered 1 item.
Yeah. Baron's up in 5. Ow.
More
That's
like
easy.
half an item.
Rushing towards it and trying to clear some vision up here. Again, it's so hard without vision to fight into a Cannon Poppy MF ult Magnet Storm. Carrier doesn't have it right now, so that's also good news. But
So we saw too, Warmogs was getting nerfed, but didn't really change anything. They're still getting Warmog's second item. Now they get 200 more hit points as well.
Controlling Baron, and
Maybe they don't heal as fast.
KT will have to muster up one last fight, but it will take a miracle.
We've got Renekton teleporting mid lane here.
This will be their opportunity as BDD at least has some information. Carrier flashing out of the seismic show.
Elder Dragon.
On that one.
3 minutes and
Understands that a
50
big
seconds.
could actually be
Got the Baron live.
for KT to find an entryway. Because of course, when
Ooh,
you have
I also
many,
just noticed it's press the
bounties
attack,
available,
Renekton,
does
which
mean
I'm
the
really not a
turnaround is
fan
a little
of.
bit more possible,
So
I guess.
It's a very glass cannon Renekton. I think the Conqueror does
That
better.
could be a big problem. So T1, conscious of that, I'm just going to back away. Owner moving on in, Beryl just trying to deal with him, BDD as well. Rogue Charge a little bit more difficult with rocks all the way over there. Cute little Teemo.
They do need to keep Zeus in a position to threaten, so it's actually kind of hard to start the Baron now that KT have closed this much of a gap. The damage from Guma is high, but alone...
I'll be right back. I gotta use the restroom. Okay. Alright. I was trying to, was hoping I could get through that game there, and I thought, man, T1's gonna get through this game, and then I'll be good, and I can take my break. But I had my dog sitting on me, and my bladder's like, so I couldn't get it done. I was hoping T1 were gonna close this out, but I don't want to sit here and be miserable. That's the next thing, because in my job, I'm doing a bad job, and not talking, or miserable, or missing things that are going on. You don't want to be miserable. So I apologize if I did bad the past 10 minutes or so. It was probably because I need to go to the restroom, and I'm sitting here miserable, and my dog's like, hey, let me sit on your lap too, and make it even more miserable. And then my bladder was just like, I can't handle this. So. But I'm not on the clock. I'm not doing this professionally, getting paid by Riot, so I don't know why I worry anyways. I mean, maybe if I had chat and people in here watch it with me, I would worry more about it, but I don't.
Eli, the coach of KT Rolster, was the former coach of... Yeah, I was sitting on this one for a little while.
I mean, I know I'm not doing something that will attract me a lot of fans doing VOD reviews. I'm sort of doing this because I want to get another coaching gig, and I worked with GAM in 2022, so I really want to work with an LEC team or a LCS team. Like, they don't have to be a good team. It could be like Dignitas. Give me Dignitas and give me Rich in the top lane, and let's go. Give me Jensen in the mid lane. Let's go. I've never been a big fan of Jensen. But it's okay. I'd work with Jensen.
That was a little tricky way for him to try to do it, but Owner just is like, nah.
Yeah, the R for W trade is a rough one.
So again,
30 seconds
the item windows, what you're trying to do is you want 300 CS at 30 minutes. See, I could probably do that a little better.
So far, pretty heroic defense from KT.
Yep. And now we've got
Baker Zanyas did a lot of work there. Kennen has the Zanyas or the Seeker's Arm Guard. See, I only had to go like one more minute and I would have been alright. I wouldn't have had to AFK and take a break. Because unfortunately, I'm going to take another one here too. Take the little dog outside and probably take a 20-minute break. So there's game number 1. He might not need to go. He's been doing a lot better here lately. I just had to get through a few really tough weeks, starting with the World Cup, and get into a cycle and routine of doing this. So he's been doing a lot better. But I may need to take him outside because I had plenty of time before I started streaming, about an hour, but I cut my finger earlier and was dealing with that all evening.
Some of their other woes recently. I think it's a reasonable way to close out a game when you have the better draft.
You alright, JD?
Yeah, and I think that this was the most quintessential T1.
So I love my dog. I was frustrated at myself of how I was handling a couple weeks ago and trying to do all of this and too much, because I love my dog. He's my buddy. I don't want to be mean to him. Sometimes it would be nice to have an extra hand around to help with, but I don't have that. So it's just me. Alright, so there's the end of game 1. I find myself having a really tough time getting my yourself to stream, like getting it going, and you get nervous and you're like, I'm really bad at this. And do I have what it takes? And then like I get an hour into it, I'm like, I'm really good at this. Like I'm good at this streaming thing and what I'm trying to do. And then by the time you get to the end of it, you're like, man, it's over. Like I was enjoying that. But for some reason, it's like getting yourself to do it and set yourself up, and you get a little, I don't really get it now, but you get a little bit nervous. I don't think too many people have the ability to actually stream. Not here to catch lightning in a bottle. So I'm going to take my AFK and I will be back and we'll do game number 2 of the Telecom War, KT versus T1. Must win match for either team. Be nice if this headache would go away. Okay, we're back. I've got my co-pilot with me in my lap. Poor guy, he had, like, you get older, you have older dogs. They get older. He had, like, a little seizure spell earlier this week, and I've been lucky and catch him before. I think if I wasn't here or something and he had it, he may have had, like, some type of stroke or something, and then, like, your dog may not be able to move part of his body or something. I've been lucky to catch mine. He's had multiple of them in the last couple years, but they scare you to death. And like his body goes limp, and I have to run him to my bed and like basically yell at him like, "Wake up, JD! You're okay, buddy. I'm here for you. Wake up, snap out of it, snap out of it." And I've been lucky, and he'll snap out of it. But I went through that again this week. So T1 won game number 1. I may have to make a cup of tea. I might have enough to get through game number 2. I think I need to invest in a teapot. As much tea as I make. Now if this headache would go away. Again, I'm not complaining. Just talking about what I'm going through today. If you think you've had a bad day. I don't understand why this does this. Where the toolbar, there we go. Where the toolbar won't go away. So, like in this game, T1 got everything. The Void Grubs, Dragons, Barons, Heralds, nothing. They did get 2 turrets.
Incredibly good at Poppy. A great snowballing jungler when you have that pressure point. Bit of a rough start here for KT Rolster.
I would say so, but it is a best of 3. They have an opportunity.
I like to listen to their analysis just to like, and whoever Kisan is, very good job this week, Kisan, because apparently Chronicler took the week off to go to a friend's wedding, so he hasn't been there all week for the LCK, which makes it a lot more difficult for all the other casters that are there. And Kisan seemed like he really stepped up this week and gave some really good analysis, so Sodaron, applause you, Kisan. You've done a really good job this week. Who's Chronicler? Kisan. He's given really good, top-notch analysis.
I think there were just a lot of answers for the KT composition, and even though we've praised the Vitalia for being a strong
hoping to get this done before the Saturday show match. That should be in a couple hours, so I should be able to get this done and then sit and relax and watch the show match, and then G2 plays later today. I have a very busy day. My sleep schedule's really messed up.
So it makes
I didn't get up till like 3 o'clock this afternoon.
And you can also see the
It's
Renekton being
almost getting on the 12th hour, 10th, 11th hour. And I'm not been going to sleep because I'll sit and watch all the LCK and then I'll watch all of G2 later today.
perspective. I expected a normal.
That's part of why I did my VOD review here, which you can check out if you go to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Sodaron. My Twitch channel. Hi, Sodaron. I was going to look at my past VODs, but that wasn't a good way to do it. But I did a VOD review. Guess maybe a better way is here at Sodaron 5828 is my YouTube channel. And I do tend to get more YouTube views than Twitch views, but I did a G2 VOD, which the only thing is you can't really see that. Edit video. Maybe that will help. That'll probably help. Maybe you guys couldn't read that. Maybe that'll help. Maybe you guys couldn't read the titles very well. So that might help. But I find it a good time for me to promote myself is like during the live G2 matches. So I did one. Hopefully I get some views today. And I will be up for hours and hours. So I've got a really long day ahead of me.
Especially with the Jace ban, but with all the champions banned and being on blue side, you want a good.
But
like,
Keysun
base
adds
they
really
went
good
on,
analysis.
And I guess they went for Renekton, and it just didn't really go well against
Like
the
he
Cannon.
speaks good English. You guys, you could hire him today in the LCK English broadcast.
Early game, and we can take a look at the first highlights and show off some of what went wrong for him.
Yeah, I think it's no surprise that Zeus will always pick a matchup where he can get a favorable advantage in the 1v1, and he set this up perfectly to find an easy dive on the Renekton.
Right. And after the
Well, Jace got buffed, so that'll be a good thing for Zeus.
From T1, on the other side of the map, on bot side, you can really see how Keria playing this dive really, really well, stunning the targets that have been targeted by the tower and locking them down just enough that they can take.
Yeah, they almost got barrel. They almost got 3 people.
That is just huge from T1.
Yeah, the fact that not only do they pull off a successful dive top, but they also counter that one and come out favorably. Do obviously miss the wave of CS, so it's still not ideal for Guma, but it was such a big win in the
I
early
heard
game
Ox
that
here
gave them
had a
the
birthday
advantage.
today.
Yeah,
Happy
Owner was
birthday,
spotted on the road
Ox.
on the top side of the map, so they were like, hey, we gotta try to force this dive on the bottom side, and it just did not go quite as well as T1's dive. Let's take a look at the second highlight, which was essentially the end of the game as T1 won this
It's
fight
supposed
and
to be
then
a
went on to
cake.
take the Baron and get a huge lead.
Yeah, so it starts off with Perfect getting focused down, and they all move in to find this pick. I think this is a great read from T1, where they're able to catch out the Renekton and punish him. And then after this...
You're not
we
really
actually
showing
see
me
KT
anything
going,
there,
right,
guys.
We can't really contest Dragon. Let's go for a push mid and try and take the tier 1 in return.
KT didn't do anything there.
And then KT realized where they can catch T over the wall just has so much value.
And overall, it's just a failed engage.
Really
but
good
as well
play
as that,
from
like Xayah, you
Guma
see
there
being
doing
blocked
into
off
the
from the
Misfortune
target
ult
wall,
and
she's just
getting
outraged,
Faker
she can't
Azir
do any
ulted
damage,
at the
she
same
barely
time.
gets to do any auto
Wow.
attacks. And even with
What was the
her face
Renekton
like
gonna
gold and
do?
everything, she still gets kills. So you can see like Xayah pick doesn't really work.
Renekton would have had to flash
Yeah,
over the
he felt a bit
wall
rushed,
and
as you were saying, Ox,
W
trying to set up
Guma,
to really catch out
but he
Omer,
would have
it's
got
a
Azir
pop,
ulted
and
at the
it's
same
an Azir
time.
with arm guard, and then MF is totally untouched, and you don't have any deep dive, which you had a little bit in your comp.
Khan's
but,
not gonna
we
lock
do need to
anyone
check out
down.
POG for this one. Let's see who does get it on the side of T1, as there can only be one. And
So
this time
Owner got a
Owner.
POG
Yeah,
on
fantastic game. A lot of the
Poppy.
early plays were set by
Congratulations,
him, you know,
Owner, because you
challenging
looked
the
really
enemy
bad
jungle,
on Poppy
even this early on
when
with
you
the
were playing
fight
against
with Zeus.
Peanut.
The
So
dive we saw before, that was a big factor.
you
And
looked
also,
really
I
nervous.
think
You got
the
outplayed by
issues
Peanut.
that KT had in finding access to the key targets was largely because of
PDD
Ona's
looked like he
impact.
did well
Definitely, like,
into
really
Azir,
playing the,
or Faker's
role.
Azir.
I was like considering between Zeus and Owner, but I did go for Owner.
I would have gave it to.
So MF did press some ults.
Would've gave it to Kyria.
Media today is very 80 carry biased, as we
Yeah.
had the 11 out of 12.
Actually,
with
I don't know.
80 carry in that one as well.
I guess I
No,
would have
think
gave it to
Kyria had a
Owner.
great game on
I was
the
saying
realm,
Kyria because there was the
counter
one
dive play with
three-man
Jason
dive
Ages.
bottom where they
And
almost
as
got
you said, I
barrel.
think if Zeus had a vote or two, I'd be like, you know, fair enough, he had a strong laner phase. But
That's
that-
probably who did the
that
English
was
analysis
that
was
80 carry
Ox.
vote. You know, if it was VN cast, I'd be like.
Guma had that really good
Did dodge a lot of
Rotation.
Yeah.
MF ult at the
Yeah,
dragon.
you know, I'm fine. Well, I don't think.
That moment.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I think that Right Media is
So into the
either
draft
AFK
phase.
round. The rest of the draft, minus the Xayah, was pretty good for me. Like I liked the Vi Talia. That's a comp that they're in combo that they're so good
One,
at. but,
two,
I
just
mean,
the
T1
way I
has
do it.
countered their entire
my
game plan,
eyes.
So they have to start from scratch here this time around.
Yep, I think the Poppy might need a look. I think the Poppy was something that was very, very valuable. I don't think you need to ban Jace. If you're just going to get crushed by Kennen, what's the point of banning Jace?
I mean, Zeus is just so good at so many different champions, and Faker historically has been, but I feel like recently not. I was going to say, just ban Azir.
Azir's a
That's
fine one
literally
too.
what I was going to say, because Faker has, every time it's not, he can't play
Oh,
the
I
top
messed that
tier
up.
80 carry, he just goes back to this. And, I mean, KT have literally watched him go back to this in a lower bracket finals and lose their chance of going to the first grand finals in many, many years. When Faker is not at his peak, he leans on the Azir. Take that away from him, and we'll find out what T1's draft is like in game 2. I feel like Faker was also not POG worthy, but his itemization and his ability to just shut down some of those engages by pressing his arm guard.
Okay, so
made
Ashe
some
ban,
of those
Azir
team
ban,
fights
and
play
Kennen
out. They
ban.
will also take the Kennen away.
I feel like they...
Okay.
just banned away the things surrounding the thing that was really hard.
Quirky
to
ban,
Yeah.
Ezreal
But
ban. Well, the
also, I do
Ezreal
agree
gets
that, the Azir was a problem. I don't know
can
whether
be
that Yordle was the biggest problem.
swamped
seems to be
from
like they're
flex
facing
pick.
for
That
first
was
pick
what I was
Renekton
looking
again.
for.
Yep.
Bottom
And
lane to mid lane.
There are other answers.
One of the bad things
to
about
Renekton.
if you're red side,
one of
you're
them they
forced to
banned
take a
in the
rumble
first
ban.
game, and it's now a
I don't know why they went Renekton again. Renekton
I
looked
was
really
looking
bad
at
in the
Azir
last
ban,
game.
Kennen ban
At
was
least
to me a
Kennen
step
is
too far, but let's see
uh,
how this
banned
shapes up
this
with
time.
Kennen, again, very quintessential.
So
to
I
how
would
that
think
comp
that
for
Zeus
T1
would go
played
for
out,
Jace
made it so
into
difficult for them to
Renekton.
set up those dives. They may just kind of run the draft back with this
The
adjustment.
Azir was banned.
Sejuani is going to come through here this time around.
Now, what else
The
does
real
this
big
Faker
question is going to
have
be,
besides
what is
Azir
Faker
that
playing?
is... I mean, he's got an
Loki is
ocean
gone,
of champions.
Tristana is much weaker.
Like
He
a
has
LeBlanc.
not been
Saw
our
Showmaker
greatest
play
player this
LeBlanc the
season.
other day
They will
and
just pivot to the
get
Jace,
away
which
with
was the other champion that you
Ignite
were alluding to
teleport
they
and no
banned in the
flash.
previous game. Let's see if they'll be able to find that same punish with Sejuani Jace. Probably won't.
You one up here. All right, come on. There you go, bud. Just lay down. Ivern. Not a big fan of Ivern, and it's Ivern into the counter AP jungler. So what is the Jace into Renekton? Jace wins against Renekton 40% of the time. I thought Jace is a Renekton counter. Good. And we looked at this the other day. So these stats are skewed from solo queue. I would say it's teams are taking the Void Grubs and accelerating the Jace into Renekton, or Renekton into Jace. So these stats might be off, or there's probably not very many games.
Won't be as extreme as Pyosik
Aha.
going back to the Ivern.
All right, well, Ivan Lucian going to be locked in here. Faker, I kind of hope that he doesn't pick Tristana, which is up and available, but they also just have physical damage so far. That is a
Yone?
little bit of a wry grin on his face.
Yone, question mark? But it's so tough to play Yone, Jace, into Ivern brushes.
And also, like, Yone,
Jace and Ivern.
Sejuani is so much physical damage towards the top side of the map that you'd be banking on the fact that T1 wouldn't... that T1 would be able to get their hands on a Ziggs or something like that. It is instead going to be a Talia.
So what is the Lucian and Talia? I don't see Lucian into Talia. Well, I can't find these stats. I'm guessing Talia is good into Lucian. Okay, on the last patch, it says Talia wins against Lucian 83% of the time, so... Alright. Wonder what it says Sejuani into Ivern is. No one's brave enough to do that in solo queue. Ivern wins against Sejuani 60% of the time. Well, I thought that was the... I know Ivern is the... There, I got a note from a caster or some game I was watching that said Sejuani is good into Ivern, but the stats say that back on the last patch that Ivern was winning against Sejuani 60% of the time. So I don't believe those notes that I got from... It was probably an LEC caster or at World Cup or something, so I'm going to take that one away. And on this patch, we don't see.
When's the last time a getaway?
Oh, why do you have to play these? I don't want to buy your junk. So Ivern is good into Sejuani. I bet I'll need that site back up.
Talia locked in. Something that can punish the dashes.
And so
on
Talia
Lucian
is
relatively
good
effectively.
into
It's
Lucian.
assumed the solution is going to be going to the mid lane. I think that is, I'd say, a 90% certainty at this point. I do not think KT are going to flex that bottom. At T1 don't think so either.
Huh.
Gonna ban Ziggs.
The Ziggs ban.
Well, maybe it,
Yeah,
maybe
now
the
that
Ziggs
Talia's
ban
locked in.
Deft
makes sense, yeah.
is
yeah,
really
that
good
maybe
on
it could be,
Ziggs.
But either way, just trying to really cover
Deft
their
and
bases
Barrel
here
have
because
been
Ziggs
good
is
with the
so
Leona
frustrated to deal with,
Ziggs,
whether mid or top,
so
with Ivern Brush
can
setup.
see
as we've
why we
seen
get the
many times
Ziggs
here in
ban.
SKHNG. Let us all know.
Kallista's
is going to be
banned.
taken away once again. It's been a pick that unlocks so many different champions for Keria and gives Guma so much agency there in the bottom
I guess
lane.
maybe the
So I
Callista
like
is
that
good
ban as kind of a
into
permanent fixture.
Renekton or Ivern or Lucian. Let's look. Why do you reset that?
When's the last time a get
I think I have the sound off. Okay. That's all I needed to do. So Callista. Don't see any Ivern. What else was it? Lucian. Don't see anything. Renekton. Don't see anything. Just looking stats.
Final ban here is a little bit tricky.
I think maybe support ban
Yeah.
again, like a Leona to be taken away. And oh,
Zeri
instead.
ban.
Not necessarily a pick that I associate with Deft.
That's one we
but,
haven't been seeing in the LEC
could
that
still
I've been
work. I'd
seeing
like to
win
see
in
Deft
the
on Caitlyn
LCK
because I
is
like the
Zeri.
Revi synergy.
A lot of teams would have just banned the Nami there just to make sure, but perhaps whatever Guma's got planned here is going to be relatively safe into that Lucian if it were to be flexed, so he's not as worried about it. And it's just not the same strong lane it was after multiple nerfs.
Misfortune,
Not
man.
everyone
Well,
who's
Misfortune
big brain is
did
too
really well
defensive,
last game, so that
from
makes
yesterday.
sense.
The MF taken away, I think, is wise. This does leave up the Senna, though. And like the Callista pick I mentioned
Senna
before, it also unlocks Keria
has a
to play lot of different
72%
things.
win rate, and so we
Ah,
get
good
Seraphine Leona.
Leona.
I have to look at this one. Which I guess you would look at Senna as a support. Senna wins against Seraphine 0% of the time from the 2 games we had played. Leona. So 5 games. So Leona and Seraphine are hard Senna counters. Not a really big fan of Seraphine AD, but
The classic.
all right.
What if
See
it's
something different here.
Seraphine mid? I hope not.
I mean, I don't know where it's going. I mean, theoretically it could.
Yeah, it's a lot of...
Get
That-
Vi.
Oh, the
Contextual.
Sejuani Senna.
What is Vi? Into Ivern. %50 of the time. Okay, what's the last patch? 100. So Vi is a counter of Ivern.
For the Vi Talia as the final locket. That's actually pretty cool.
That's very T1. And I do think it is...
Sit down, buddy. Go lay down. I'm right here beside you. Go lay down.
relatively...
Not right now. I don't know. I may have to take my little buddy out again. don't know.
Risky, but they're going to
Lee
do it.
Sin.
That's the Lee Sin.
It's happening.
Glad to see some Lee Sin. Okay. Good boy, JD. Okay, he's okay. I worry about my little one. I worry about my kids. Like a helicopter parent. I put my kids
Oh,
first.
thank goodness. This is what I've been calling for. I don't know, like it.
I don't
it
have
wouldn't
any. I
been
just
better
got
than the
one
Poppy in the last game.
14-year-old
Owner was
dog,
absolutely incredible, and I ate
but
my words on that one. However, it's just always
put him first
watching
like he's
Owner
my
play the
kid.
champion.
I think that the Ziggs, you know, ban here is really smart, but I almost kind of looking at this, maybe the Ziggs would have been, it's hard to say. I look at the draft of KT and I go, well, Senna is going to take a long time before she can hurt these champions, and they're going to have a lot of shields, and then also she can't hurt them if she can't see them. If they lose map control, it's tough. The same with the
Yeah,
Jace.
they
He's
don't
gonna
really have
struggle
much damage
to
on
land his poke,
T1
and the
now
brush
that I
setup
think
is there
about it.
constantly. Again, this is reliant on KT having an early game advantage, having a mid game advantage, and then being able to set up on those objectives, because without it, then it becomes really easy for the Jace to just kind of force.
Go sit down, bud. I'm taking you out after this game. Hopefully like 20 minutes. There you go, buddy. You gotta learn to relax more, JD, buddy. There you go. I need a bigger chair. I need a plus size chair because I've always got a dog on my lap, which makes it difficult. Not all the time, but makes it more difficult to play or VOD review or anything.
In places that KT don't want to have them, so try to leapfrog their way towards objectives. But there's a Mountain as well will be super high value if either of those go there. Oh no.
We're just trying
I don't know
to
what that
remember
is.
the
I'm not
fact that
into
it could
memes.
happen.
Well, this time it's a near unanimous for KT, and so far not looking great for them. Much better draft here, in my opinion, though, in Game 2 with all these shields, Illusion, and
Maybe the shields will help Renekton survive.
So much of the setup here. Great T1 draft, cool flex of the Sejuani into the support role. We'll see what Carrier can get done.
Yep, I'm very interested to see whether KT can bounce back up. All right, everyone extraordinarily loud as per usual.
Extraordinary.
Absolutely fantastic. Deft is going to be piloting.
All right, so looking at what's going on in the first 30 seconds of the game or 45 seconds, there's a lot going on that most of you all out there skip or don't pay attention to. What am I doing? So Barrel's got the sweeper lens here. T1's got 2 trinket wards in their bottom lane.
The Seraphine is going to be conquering things.
Whoop. And as we see, Guma goes top lane, puts a ward here for Zeus, so this will help him stay safe in his laning phase or play aggressive over this line that I preach and preach and preach and preach, that the line cuts the map in half like that. And then this side of the map's red side, this side of the map's blue side. So anytime Zeus steps over this line and he doesn't have flash or a teammate or some type of ward, which this was not a deep ward, it's on the T1 side. This also shows them in case KT's going to invade. Because the last game, KT, all 5 of them were up here, like in this brush right here. And then that allowed T1 to get deep vision down here. So T1's not going to have this in this game. So this ward down here in the first game pretty much gave T1 an early game advantage on the bottom side of the map. So these wards are very important for really, predicting the game or snowballing the game. I mean, these are important little movements here in the beginning that a lot of people just don't even pay attention until the laning phase. But this is what sets up the game or predicts the game.
There on the bottom side. I had a brief squiz at his solo queue record.
Ivern, again, I'm not a big fan of him because you have to get level 6 with Daisy before you can take the Void Grubs or Dragon, which makes him kind of exploitable.
No Seraphine at all. So this is
Glad to see Lee
Lee
Sen back in play.
A separate account, maybe just in scrims. Or maybe he hasn't played it yet. I don't know.
It is known to be a high-skill champion.
I mean, you drop
As
the beat
Guma
and stuff,
went back
you
in.
know, and it's cool, and she does high notes.
Went back to base and got the sweeper lens.
Between Seraphine,
Oh yeah.
Ivern, also trying to get into
Like to
those
see
rushes where
Carrier
Seraphine
using the
also
Ghost
gonna be
Ward or Zombie
flying at
Poro.
you, and
DDD gets the ward on the Raptor pits here at the normal standard time. We call it the Faker ward.
As Renekton's not a traditional tank, but with all the shielding, he becomes better than a traditional tank. He also heals himself, so
you just build your own tank. And
Alright, so Carrier has what I
keep
keep harping on, the Zombie Ward and Ghost Poro. I think it's very valuable.
But that would be fitting if you're doing a build.
Run it secondary on your support.
I still think that Outback Renekton does the most damage.
And when you sweep out a ward, you get a free ward and some gold.
Might have to.
I think there might be some facts against your theory.
Yeah, could be. It's probably not real, but I like to keep it as my headcanon.
It is Conqueror Seraphine.
Yeah.
Here in the bottom lane. Not looking for Comet or any sort of area, any sort of harass here in this bottom lane. Just going to be doing a lot of damage as much as he can. Just sustained trades.
Ooh, Faker throwing some boulders around and actually able to dodge as Beryl takes a turret shot as Deft is dropping the beat. Beryl's still actually able to keep himself alive because, of course, Eclipse and Aftershock are a broken combination. Still, it's a pretty
Keep yourself
even trade
alive. Keep yourself alive.
oh my goodness, another one. 95% win rate here. For
I don't know
Renekton
much
on
about the
his,
Seraphine Leona
20-1.
matchup,
This
so
is LCK only, by
or
the way,
Senna,
a lot of wins internationally.
Sejuani. I think I've seen it one other time from T1.
that is a pretty good scoreline.
He lost once out of 21 games. I don't know, like, no matter how you frame it, it's just insane.
Yeah, no, it's just particularly good. Let's see whether KT can actually come out on top, because of course Senna is
Jace has got a
also
nice
champion
ward
isn't
here that allows
necessarily
him to
as
pressure
strong
the
as it used
lane.
to be. You know, a lot of those wins did
Keep him
happen,
from getting
previously,
ganked. Good
so
thing
this
to
is
do
going
if you're
to
in
be
solo queue.
slightly
Shouldn't
different
be over
story.
this line, like I said,
It
unless
is
you have a
kind of
ward like
tricky to
Zayas has
play
right here.
a
Or you can even get
Sejuani into
creative and get it a
Seraphine
little
Leona.
bit deeper.
The Aftershock value is going to be high, but you're kind
That's
of,
some of why I think it's a good placement for Owner to come over here and bring some pressure on the map.
And kind of annoy you in the laning phase.
Beryl, what are we doing? We're just living under a turret. That's his game plan. He just gets bored.
KT plays very aggressive in the bottom lane.
Wait a minute. I've seen this one before. That's not a poppy, but looks like he's not going to commit to the play, but a scary moment nonetheless for Perfect.
Maybe foreshadowing what's going to happen.
Baker gets a
in the
nice
future.
ward here on the Raptor pit.
Perfect. He is going to at least be able to pick up this minion wave. Only 10
It's going to
CS
allow
behind.
him
Only
to
10 CS behind because we've seen
play
this
overextended
matchup go
over this
even
line
more
that I
in
talk
favor
about
of
over
the
and
Jace
over. That's
close to the
what
hands
that's
of Zayas.
what
Jace
allows him to
needs
play
Jace.
like that.
We've got some pretty good Jaces.
Cons Jace back in the past.
Hey, yeah, that's true.
You know?
Pawns Jace as well. I mean, he's here in the crowd. One of our better mid Jace players is Pioshik.
So I like to see the teams get the Dragon at 5 minutes, which really KT won't be able to in this game because Daisy needs to get level 6 and you really can't get level 6 before the 5-minute mark. He's only level 4 right now.
gets a bush. That's always the most annoying thing about, one of the most annoying things.
Harder to
One reason
dodge
too, I guess, for the
is
Ivern is the Corki is gone. So
Yeah,
can't see the
Corki
initial cast
seems
ability.
really good in the Ivern
it does
because you
make
could
your ability to
Q
look for a
on
shove,
the
you know,
brush
and
whenever
it's
he
nice
hides
to
one
go
of
really
his
stand it when it's just the
teammates
one little pixel
and
brush
then
there,
do
but
damage.
He's not going to stand it when he tries to shove
So
it,
he reveals vision.
Right,
We'll
Def
see it.
is going to be able to teleport back.
He did take TP, which I think was pretty
Perfect
obvious
gets
to
his
everyone. That was the kind of
steel
lane he was
plate
looking at here, but he didn't
boots
wanna
or
point it out, so
whatever
he
they're
can't just
called,
continue to cheat
caps.
or recalls here. Picks up a
So the
tier.
teleports are down
So
on KT.
Ryushi is going to be missed, but that could have been a very rough time.
He does have cleanse, but would have been pretty disastrous, as you say. And BDD putting the pressure on here in mid. Faker's already used one teleport, so we'll have to walk back to lane. And we haven't seen Lucian mid really all too much outside of the Corki matchup, but he is definitely putting the pressure on here. And it's been a while since we've seen Lucian mid as a mainstay. It's really been since
Here he uses his
2021 when
teleport,
the Showmaker
and
Lucian
then
era was there, went banned
I
every
used the
game.
wrong
Yeah.
collar
But
here.
he's putting the pressure on. He's doing a great
Forgive
job.
me.
Lucian was changed with his passive, so he doesn't do as
Gonna
much
say
alone, but he still
Sejuani
does
went back
enough.
and got her
And that
whatever
just
that
shows
is,
the power
Fire
of AD
Ember
carries.
or whatever the
If Lucian can be played as
Sunfire
solo lane,
Cape
you know that there's
Fire
something
Ember
wrong.
thing is.
As Pioshik's going to come on over, I don't know whether he's going to be able to stop
The
Owner here, but
Ivern
he at
can't
least
do
gets
anything
information that
right
it's
now because he's
happening.
level
BDD
5,
on the
so
recall,
he
that's
he
not
needs
quite going to be
Daisy
a
to
thing that
clear
they
out
can
these
contest.
objectives early.
Pioshik is going to come
He
in
might try to
with
smite
supervise,
steal something.
And yep, just presses a button, and Owner is going to ignore it.
He made his feet
Going to be
cold, and then he kept killing the
Yeah.
frogs.
Well, Owner is going to look for him. Rootcaller does come down, and there is the Weaver's Wall.
And
Flash out from
Piosik's
Pioshik
gonna
to
get
take the
caught
ball
out
with him
here, and he
immediately.
burns
Now
his
BDD
flash.
is going to turn up, and there's the culling. Owner still level 5, so doesn't have the kick. And meanwhile, Zeus and Perfect are
Fighting over
fighting.
one
The
Void
flash out
Grub.
to flash in. First blood for BDD, and Perfect follows up immediately. That's
And
3
T1 didn't
kills.
have
And is it gonna be
he
3
didn't have
games?
Corki with
I
the
mean,
Q
it's looking
to
more
see
like
through that
at this
brush.
moment. Don't count T1's chances out just yet, but I mean, it looked really silly.
I think
for
Piosik's
first
gonna
blood
have a
was
really hard
Fila.
time
He was
getting this one Void
hanging
Grub. Maybe it'll
around
give him
for
level
potential
6.
steal.
Oh, that would be a pretty unfortunate steal, as that was a
And
pretty
there
early
he's finally got
slide, I
Daisy.
believe. And Gumayushi is going to turn up, and Daisy is also going to come in. Perfect. Getting that shove through. Zeus is still wandering towards the lane. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Carrier is just doing his very best.
So,
there is a demolish proc.
KT
and
is 2k
so
gold
these
ahead
photos are
now.
Really hurting.
Yeah, KT is really
And
winning
I
everywhere,
would say
getting the
Renekton's got a
advantage
better
here
power
offside,
spike here where he's got the
as
Phage
well as
and
extra
the steel
gold
plate
for the
boots.
Seraphine. See the
Cut
gold
down the
grab filling.
damage.
Yeah, Encore is going to come
And it
on
looks
through
like
here as
Carrier
Oda
is gonna
turns up. Carrier
get taken
almost
down under his
dies,
own
actually,
turret.
Before it even happens, is Beryl! He's under the turret, and he's going to die. That means the Deft is also really dead, but at least they get one.
Well,
There's that.
you know,
Shenanigans.
It went over to the Leona though. They lose a plate top, and yeah, that's why I said don't count
Oop,
T1
wrong
out.
caller
Maybe it's just that
again.
Don't count.
Yeah, don't count KT in, maybe is what we should have said.
Yeah. So this looks really silly for Pioshik at first because you're like, why is he contesting? You don't have the numbers, but BDD is able to come over here. Perfect is winning the isolated matchup into a Jace who has to kind of rotate
Owner
down,
just
so
straight up
Perfect does
ate a
ton here. And in the
Lucian ult right
skirmish,
here.
Faker has a combo.
BDD did a lot of
but
work.
BDD is an AD carry, so he actually has long-term
And I would
you know,
say the
attack
Ivern
damage here in this
gave
fight.
some
Pioshik
good
has
shielding and
for him, so it's
vision
hard to
help.
pick him. So a bit of an overextension there by T1. And then they got really excited about, we're going to kill Carrier. And then it took them a really long time to kill Carrier. And they kind of forgot about everything else on the map. Like, they tunneled on this super hard, and this is T1 right back in the game.
And, like, I mean, I don't know whether it's necessarily, like, right back in the game, just because that triple kill for KT was definitely very,
Guma
very
making
big.
a roam here and
but
leaving Carrier
I
down by
understand
himself.
the thought process of, like, there are two
Flashless,
bad guys
so he
coming.
might get
Let's
dove.
just try and get what we can before we're definitely dead.
Yeah, they got a plate, they wanted more, and then as soon as they saw Owner, like, that was, say, the only call. I was like, we got to kill him, and Barrel's like, oh, I'm definitely going to kill him. It's
I mean, Barrel pressing Zenith Blade when there's a turret to be hit by, I mean, he's always doing that. He's always doing that.
yeah, we need to add, like, if he ends up carrying this game and getting POG, we add, like, the little stats, like, times Zenith Bladed into turret range. It's like 17.
Yeah, and we need the percentage as well. Oh, as
I
Faker
think
is just dead. Yeah,
BDD's
there's
gonna
the
get a
black
solo
hole, gets the
takedown
double
on
tap,
Faker
BDD,
here.
He's on a killing
Got
spree.
this
He is
item
too
power
big
spike.
right now.
And you know, I think we have to really respect the Lucian. Faker flashes as well, but I mean, BDD also has flash, and he's just able to
Pickaxe,
to pew
recurve
pew him to
bow,
death.
long
yeah,
sword,
hold him out of the
Dords.
game.
Daisy's coming out, but Owner's coming in. And Perfect gonna find the stun. They're still gonna go for this one.
Owner gets stunned for a really long amount of time right there.
Let's see whether he can keep himself alive though, because Daisy's still in amongst it. The root caller helping the Renekton get in. Another Zenith Blade. Where's the turret range? Where's Gumushi's health bar? My goodness, the damage to come out from that's just a lost chapter.
Just a
what
lost
the heck?
chapter in a Torrens ring.
What the
But
what?
it's a ton of damage. Guma's just super squishy, and I
guess that's it. Yeah.
I mean, he is a Senna after all. He's only a level behind Deft. It's not like he just doesn't have his health growth. But
I'm burning up, JD. I need to turn that air conditioner back on.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'll be right back, stream. Okay. Alright, my dog wants to sit on my lap. He's on a blanket. I had the air conditioner off, and there was just no way that was going to work. It started to burn up. Poor guy's like anxious all the time. He's like getting old and hurts all the time, and then he tries to lay down, and then like 10 minutes he starts hurting or moves, and then he hurts and gets up. So I just feel bad for him all the time. Not much I can do. That's just what happens when you get old. And I'm starting to get older. I'm starting to see it. Watch out, bud. You went down? You went down? So trying to get him comfortable is like really hard. There we go. There he goes. Okay, now we can do this. I don't want to have my dog hold me back from streaming, but he is very important to me. As I was saying earlier, family comes first to me. I would like to get this series done before the LCK goes live, but I think it's live now, actually. Let me see. Because now that it's Saturday... Too bad I don't have co-streaming rights. Oh yeah, it's live already. Man. Oh well. I can catch it after.
And ultimately ends up being fairly disastrous down there. As watch this solo kill as he just dashes in before the rocks can be placed. It's just a really proactive play by BD.
At least I'll get to see Gen G. I think it's like Hanwha versus DK. Yeah, then Hanwha versus DK, then Gen G versus KDF. So I guess you can do it and nobody will get mad. But I think you have to officially have co-streaming rights. Has this guy got co-streaming rights?
He's just like, I get in before you set the rocks, you're dead. You gotta respect my lead that I have.
Oh well.
Yeah. As they were the girls from our picture-in-picture before, as another encore going.
So Barrel flashes in.
Carrier's gonna get solar flared as well. There's a Zenith Blade from Carrier one more time. Sorry.
Carrier gets caught out and he didn't have flash, so he pays for it.
Baker is once again fighting. Is going to come on through. He's playing with fire here as Owner comes on over, but Pyosik in perfect position. Sonic Wave not going to find the mark. And now T1 trying to rotate more friends.
Void Grubs are about to be back up. The Dragon's live.
He's got the trigger seed shield. He just turns around and kills Baker. There's the kick flashes.
Say that's some of the reason that T1 went all in on this play.
One more turret shot and he's going to die, but that's not going to come on through. And now Deft is going to need to turn up. There is going to be the kill onto Zeus. And now Perfect comes in at the same time. Gumayushi, oh dear. Let's see whether he can get himself out of this one. Perfect is going to have a slice and or dice coming up.
It's not really worth following a player like that around for a takedown. You could have just went for the Void Grubs there or the Dragon. So that's some bloodthirsty stuff there. KT could have just went for Dragon.
So very proactive here from T1, but it ends up backfiring as, I mean, it turns out playing they opt
And
into this, by the way.
T1
Playing
get the
with
dragon
Sejuani
before
into the
KT.
Seraphine is not very fun, especially when there's a Leona to just kind of bully the cow, or pig, rather.
Poor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He got there in the end, but
Poor Bristle.
Owner is in trouble.
Or not, I
This is
guess.
live. Okay, yeah, Daisy's gonna get
Owner
another
is
knockback.
afraid of
Comes on in.
Daisy.
That is going to be the kickback, and that should be enough to disengage. But he has to get the heck out of here. That is going to be a Hextech Drake to be taken.
I don't know.
in
I
by
need to
KT.
play more of
Plus Dragon in
Ivern.
12 and a half
Looks
minutes
pretty fun.
is a pretty late dragon, but it's only, I guess, 12 and a half minutes into the game. Feels like we've had a lot of stuff happen.
Yeah.
So
BDD does
T1
have
go for the
teleport.
Void
She wants to
Grubs
commit to try and
instead.
defend some plates here.
Well, I
Top
guess
side
they're
is
not
taking
even
the
gonna be able
grubs
to take
here.
Void
Also,
Grubs
by
barrel.
T1,
Perfect. They're
very
gonna
greedy.
push him off.
It's gonna take Ivern a million years to get that dragon, but,
BDD
very
has
true.
teleport.
Perfect is just flashing forward. This guy is angry. And now Gumayushi completely out of mana, but did manage to throw down the Dawning Shadow at least. And should be able to walk this one off. So
It's so greedy what T1 did there, and they get punished again.
This is where I think the
I feel like
teams
it's
get caught in
had
like this
2
ego
games in a
thing
row
where like
it's
Zeus
one
wants to
team
prove
just
he's the
trying to
best
do too much
top
when they're not
laner
allowed
compared to
and it's happened
Perfect,
now on
or
both sides.
Yeah, I mean, I will
Faker
credit
not so
T1 a lot
much.
for the way they played
or
around
like
that draft
Owner
in
wants
game
to
one,
prove
but
that he's
this
the
time
better
trying to
jungler than
cross match
Pyosek.
when they don't really have that
Guma
big of a
wants to
numbers
prove that he's the
advantage.
better
A bit
AD than
rough,
Deft, so they get in this
no two ways
ego
about it.
battle
2000
where
gold
they
deficit for
forget the
T1
basic
now. Chemtech
fundamentals
Dragon, by the way,
that like
extremely
coaching
relevant.
will
Even that
teach
one
you,
solo dragon
like
for this
the
double
line that I
shield.
talk about,
Yeah,
overextending and
Here
chasing
that
players
is,
around the map.
that has been cooked up by KT, so I think they will definitely be grouping for that one. As it's a Leona. You know,
Perfect did a good job there getting the
grubs
Scryer's
here,
Bloom to get vision and then
but
going
just
in.
respect this composition,
That was a
respect
really
its
good play
damage
from
output.
Barrel,
Senna
and
is going to offer very
Perfect.
little in return at this stage of the game. So you don't
didn't I
really
preach on this
have
channel?
the
Vision.
numbers advantage you think you
It's
do
the
in
most
that
important
moment.
stat. I think it's more
Kind of
important
love
than
what is
movement
happening here with
speed.
this KT
It
drop,
gives you
though. This,
information about your
Seraphine
enemy
working
and you
out
can
very,
make
very
plans
well.
ahead of
Is
time.
now done. And Deft. We'll see whether
The
he does
stride
get
breaker
double
thing
burn
I
as
don't
well.
really
Might just be a whole
agree
lot
with or understand.
on
I
the
think the
Seraphine.
Eclipse.
Tier
I
doesn't
think it's
have to
Eclipse
necessarily be
Derek's
made to
gauge.
the
I
Zeros
could
because
no.
it's just going to give you extra
I have
mana.
to go back and
Harassment
look at
in
it.
Lane feels very good. Very cost efficient
See.
item.
Okay, maybe this is the new thing. This is on this patch. But I've seen Eclipse. Eclipse Black Cleaver.
When's the last
Oh,
time?
please don't do that to me.
Seraphine's not balanced around farming.
Beryl. This is actually one of the first times I've seen Beryl play without the Iron Solari Leona skin. He's been very, very adamant about picking that skin. He does have a skin that he got with Damwon, but this time I think just trying to match the Seraphine vibes.
These
on the
wards
bottom side.
allow
I think he
Perfect
just
to play
doesn't-
so
he's not a
aggressive
big
here.
self-promo guy.
No.
Shove
his
over
gameplay
this
speak
line
for
that I
itself.
talk
And he
about.
also, he's a bit of a skin synergy in the bottom lane kind of guy as well. We have seen that he has
So-
picked matching skins in the past.
Blackfire Torch is going to make this Seraphine have less fun. Or sorry, the Seraphine will have more fun. The Sejuani will have less fun.
Yeah.
And she wasn't having a lot of fun before.
Dragon, 2 minutes
It'll
and
be very
50
annoying to deal
seconds.
with all of that
Rift
burn
Herald is
damage in
live.
this lane. And
Deft's
so
teleport
constantly
is
there's this
down. Perfect's
hole
teleport
where
and flash is
Guma has been
down.
roaming, but he hasn't been able to
Owner's
get much done.
flash
He's
is
3 levels
down.
on
Zeus's
Deft.
flash is
Obviously,
down, but
that's how
about they
this
come
works,
back
right? But
up.
it means he's very squishy, so even the Seraphine damage, which isn't bursty, by nature feels bursty into him, and he's very vulnerable in this
Items,
composition
Faker's
against the
behind.
Renekton, against the Lucian burst as well. So it's very difficult for Guma to play the game,
Faker's
and
behind.
if you don't get map control, you can't really do much with Jace here either, going towards objectives because of the Ivern brushes we talked a lot about in draft. Speedy may have overstepped.
The minion wave is coming
Not
in now, so there's
CS
no
wise,
real
but just
reason for him to
item
step
wise. You
too
should
far.
be
Not
at
gonna head
150
towards the brush
CS
now,
at
and he's
15
just gonna
minutes.
look for a back angle. Owner biding his time, but for what? is the
220.
question. As T1 They are going to be able to take this turret on the bottom side of the map, and that is first turret blood, I believe. Yeah, it is.
So this might be a thing where Faker
extra,
won't go for this Rift Herald because he doesn't have his first item. He seems very item dependent. He looks like he's going back now to get it, and he has his teleport.
Unfortunate that KT weren't able to actually patch that one up, because Rift Herald, I don't know whether it's worth it.
Which they need for Dragon.
With the Rift Herald, it will definitely feel very valuable for the solution, and they can try to utilize it when this Drake spawns as well to use that as kind of a double whammy, look for a charge there, and then have that prio set up the brushes. So I think it is very valuable. Senna uses gold, you know, relatively well. It's still going to be useful that they got that turret, but it opens up a hole in the bottom map that KT aren't that interested in. I still think it's a huge win for T1 and a bit of a mistake.
Owner and Zayas can go down here because of they had a bunch of vision. I think it just went away because the observer went to blue side, but yeah, they have a bunch of vision, which is why they were allowed to go down and make this play.
But I don't think he's going to go for too much, and you can see just going to wait for that minion wave to come on over.
This is time where the ADs should be mid lane.
Tagged by the Zenith Blade.
So Carius gonna have to be mid lane. See, like T1's kind of doing something weird in this game because they're sending Carry top lane, but he should be in the mid lane farming. And they're keeping Faker in the mid lane. I would say it's because of this Seraphine. Is like, Sejuani's having a very tough time laning into Sejuani, or Sejuani's having a very tough time laning into the Seraphine. So that's why you see them rotating the Sejuani to the top side into the Renekton. And then they were down here with Zayas and Owner trying to make some type of play. Because mainly the minions were shoved up so far, so they didn't have anything else to do.
Then knows they're sticking around very likely, is going to play respectfully there. And now Owner has no
and they should have been ready to take this dragon.
Have a Herald they can drop. They've got full prio on this dragon. They're even going to push down this turret now.
Yeah, and I think actually because they managed to stave off that gank, they're able to get this turret, or at least most of the turret, right?
Most of it.
Immediately rewarded for BDD's defensive play. Now maybe immediately punished. Let's just see how this one's going to go as the teleport in. BDD looking for good.
Okay, so BDD's flash is down. His ultimate is down. Besides Jace's ult being down. And Owner's flash. T1 might have an advantage in this fight, but the itemization-wise, the items are pretty much even. Faker's got his Seeker's Arm Guard, which will be good for a team fight.
Immediately
got the dragon bonus, so movement speed. I think it's the movement speed one. Or no, that's the Hex Tech. So Guma eats a bunch of damage from BDD and uses his flash. And Seraphine and Renekton are teleporting bottom. Looks like Faker's teleporting down here as well, but it's a little bit too late because Senna just got shoved out of the fight.
Looking for Gumiushi. He has to flash double TPs. Means that now T1 find themselves a little bit late to their own party, and it's going to be the outer turret taken. KT now grouped up, ready to go for this dragon as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd be starting that dragon if I were you, Guma.
I don't know what Guma was doing on the dragon.
Oh, perfect. He wants more. Strybreaker going to come on through there as he's doing a lot of damage. And this Renekton, way less anemic than the other one.
Yeah, he's been fed.
Jace is going to shove the top lane. I guess T1 saying they can't even begin to fight this dragon, so they're trying to create other pressure around the map and distract KT from taking the dragon. Kind of looks like KT took the bait. They should have just went for the dragon.
Unfortunately, and KT, they're going to put Perfect in the bottom lane. He's going to take down that inner turret, and it's just like they took off the clothes from the last game.
Yeah. And they did get a T2 turret instead of the dragon. It looks like nope. No, they're not.
It should still be the turret.
Yeah, you can keep talking.
So anyway,
okay, they got it.
I feel like
and now they're taking the dragon.
are just not going to fall prey to T1 being like, aha, I get something cross map. They're just not going to let them have anything. BDD?
Yeah, he's going to be in a whole host of trouble. The Dawning Shadow is even going to help out, and the turret loses interest
that
in stopping T1 here.
take down a
KT will be able to
BD
answer
costs the
with a
flash.
They finally got him.
dragon. Yeah. Infernal Soul as well this game. That's an exciting one.
This dragon, I feel like, might be one of the highest value single Drakes we have ever seen in the LCK with the double shields. But, I mean, as T1 are saying, we're going to give the dragon, you're going to take dragon, we'll get mid-turret. KT are like, no, we kill you, and then we'll get the dragon. At least they're able to, because Zeus had already set up the teleport topside, killed that top turret, have the pressure here where Owner is able to come in and take him out
that
for the
ward.
first time after like 3 previous attempts by Zeus and Owner. They will kill BDD. But at the end of the day, Soul Point is the next
And
dragon
barrels
here for
on his
KT. The
war
gold
mogs
lead isn't
already.
that massive, but it just doesn't seem like T1 have been coordinated enough to deal
So
with these Ivory brushes. But
so
all it will
basically,
take is one
KT can just
single
go for this
crushing
Baron.
fight for T1 to
They're
get
on
them
their
into
2
the
ires
driver's
on
seat and
everyone.
Stop the Ivern setups on these objectives. It's just going to have to be a little bit
He
tighter
sends
play.
behind, Faker's
KT are
behind.
not just going to be simply
Area has
out-macroed
2
by T1.
items.
They've been able to match them at every turn.
Yeah, I like that they are still staying very proactive, right? Still getting around this
So I
map,
look
trying
for
take
KT
down
to take his
objective
20-minute
after objective,
Baron.
Find these opportunities. The more they can group up and utilize the Ivern and the shields, the more value they're going to get. As okay, Beryl could find himself
It's
in a
time
rough
for-
spot, but he's going in. There's a turret. He has a Zenith blade, and he's getting under there. And
I was gonna
he's
say, I don't
surviving,
think
for goodness
KT
sake.
paid
That was
attention
way
that
too
Faker
long
had
to
the
be
Seeker's
alive,
arm guard.
as now Deft will finally turn up. Speeds himself through here. Perfect is now going to find his entranceway, but KT have already lost one. Seismic Shove is going to knock back the Renekton.
Perfect
He
is
could be the
taking a
next
lot
one
of
to pick up
damage
here
and
as they take
surviving
down the
right
turret.
there.
Perfect is going to be alive. He's much less squishy than he was in game number 1. Has another Seismic Shove. This time, he is definitely dead. The encore, and Deft is able to help take down Owner. Gumayushi follows immediately as Deft, I mean, the Seraphine
Well, I guess
is doing ridiculous work.
T1's
He
gonna
does
get the
die.
Baron.
T1 win the fight, but I'm still very impressed with this Seraphine.
I know they don't
it
have
was-
spite,
it was
so
very-
the
it was
owner's
very good
down.
charm and a good setup with the abilities, but maybe don't chase to the choke.
Yeah, no, it was like the decision making was
No,
really
there's
dumb,
not
but
much
it was
to
impressive
see.
that, like, what happened.
The
right?
choke point was the barrel that the fish jumped in. That KT were the fish, they jumped into the barrel, and Zeus was like, well, I'm firing at it. You know, the saying goes. Barrel's like, this is an experiment. I've got Redemption, I've got
BDD
Seraphine
gets
shields,
stuck
I've got
behind the
Ivory
Talia
shields, I've got
wall.
Eclipse. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, the experiment was interesting, but it was a failure. And then Perfect Flash charging the damage through. A lot of lethality damage here, so when the shield is gone, so is his health bar, as it turns out. And
Zeus can also build the world's most high-value Serpent's
So
Fang.
Faker's got his
history
Zonya's
of League of
hourglass
Legends.
now.
he very like, there it is.
There it is. Okay, good.
Zeus is on 3
So they figured it
items.
out. Yep.
That is probably the best item choice that you could buy. I would even say that Gumayushi should have built it first, and Faker could also buy one. I think Owner should get one, and Carrier should get one as well. Everyone has one, and then everything's gonna.
I'd take care of my little boy.
Gonna be
I think just the Jace for now is fine. But maybe Senna later. We will have to wait and see.
We're gonna go outside
We
soon,
have,
buddy.
They have Kisun from the Pog Lab, so he can actually he can have the science for us, right?
It's hard for me to do this thing with my dog on my lap. At least he's a small dog.
He can tell us whether just one is going to be enough.
I feel like this game,
But it kind of distracts me a little bit. I can do better analysis or a better job.
KT are no longer fully in control. I mean, they have.
It's not even 1,000 gold to
Yeah,
lead.
exactly. And T1 are rapidly getting back into
Yeah,
their
T1's
territory,
like
right? They've
gold.
eliminated
The
a lot of
gold's
KT
even
aggressive
now.
map control. The Jace has got value.
And
I think
Jace is
KT
on
kinda
3
go
items,
head first into a bad play there top side. Now they do have Baron
where
control here
Renekton's
now.
only
and
on,
this is
on
just
2
enough to actually
items.
set up some brushes and say you can't contest this. I don't think they're going to start it. They do have a lot of damage, but not enough. And they are just going to set up some vision. But that could have been a way to force T1 into a really awkward fight. But otherwise, T1 are like, cool, we're going to get more control of the bottom side of the map where that Drake is spawning, which is a little bit more
Dragon
relevant
in
at this
30
stage of the game.
seconds.
And
I'd say
I do
that's
prefer
what Faker
T1's
might be
position
doing down
here.
here, trying
See
to
what
prep
KT
for this
do to try and
dragon.
contest this dragon is, yeah, that's the big damage.
Yeah,
Kind of pre-shield that one.
Def does do a fair bit of damage, but yeah, he also takes about 1 million from Zeus, and he's not actually able to shield it.
I think they wish it was a Mountain Soul.
Yeah, I really am looking forward so much
Deft
to
teleporting
the,
mid
surface
lane
value,
here.
how much it is actually going to be able to do. Zeus already doing the most damage in the game right now, actually.
Owner,
quite
I guess,
surprising
just getting some
considering the fact
vision.
that BDD does have 5 kills so far, and has been
Being a human
very
ward,
involved in
trying to
this
get some
effort.
information, catch some people on KT out.
The toggle here is showing a
KT
different
start this
story.
dragon up.
Yeah. Tribrush Ward is going to be important.
It's looking like
Because
KT
the owner
win
looking
the
for an
straight up
opportunity. I don't think he's gonna
team
be able to
fight in
steal
this
away
game.
Drake. That is going to be the sole point picked up by KT. Now, the Weaver's Wall comes in.
Owner's a good bit late
Glacier
here.
Prison is used. And KT are going to take the Drake and then look for a flash play onto Owner. That is a miss, though, unfortunately. There is now Perfect looks for the pick
Oh,
off, and
BDD,
Senna is
they
just dead.
catch out
Seismic
Guma
shot
and
used
his cleanse
defensively.
was
That is
down, so
decent
that was a
heal, but
really
now the
good
comeback
play.
comes in.
Again,
The
we talk
redemption
about on my
made
stream
top.
over
The
and over
teleport
again, is you
flank
make your
angle.
plays
And
around
there is the encore.
knowing that your enemies summoner spell times, and you need to learn those so you can in solo queue type the timing and you will know exactly when they will be back up and you make a play like they just did on Guma. I would say KT knew that this cleanse was down, so they caught him out.
Having a good time. No, we were watching Owner with the vision goggles, so I don't know entirely how T1
So
gave
Guma
up their
doesn't have
control of the
cleanse.
side of the map here, but they completely did, and then Kochik was able to set up brushes here, then Owner looks for a desperate steal. They don't have an angle. Barrel's looking for a flash engage on the other side of this fight, but Perfect.
No
He's got his
cleanse.
dominance, and he is ready to push through. Guma just goes
You
down
needed to be
instantly.
behind Carrier.
And this is just an easy fall. I appreciate Zeus' heroics here because they already used the shields. The redemption comes down. Depth has to be shielded.
That
the
was
second
one
time.
big
He's
play
got enough
too.
shields to
Guma
actually
getting
just
caught out
take
right there with no
the
cleanse.
Jace, and there's no Guma, so
Which Guma
that's just the end
does
of the
tend
fight.
to
Faker
have
can't
bad
really
positioning at times where he
damage
gets
them.
over
The
aggressive
stun bot in this
or
game,
overzealous, we'll
unfortunately,
say.
The knockup bot, whatever
And-
way you want to put it.
Oh god. Okay, so now we have a cool hat for Deft. So the Seraphine, this is a lot of damage. This is not the classic where you're just building Moonstone and Harrier and you've got all of those all of the healing and the shielding.
It's
Everything's
AP
great.
Seraphine, yeah.
It is just damage,
Yeah.
and it is working like a dream.
And Senna's so squishy that, you know, she just kind of dies. Faker, similar situation. He has his Seraphs at least, but it's just so hard to deal with this Seraphine's damage, plus her utility, right? Her roots,
Yeah.
her ultimate is fantastic. It's kind of crazy. Like, in mid-Seraphine was a thing for a while, but it was never really built like this. It was just a secondary support. But in this game, you get the shield value, and the AP ratio on that is pretty good. And you have the Ivern as well.
So I don't know. Like
Kinda
I don't
crazy
know
what
what
the solution
T1
is
can
able
do to
do
get
as
back into
well.
this
And
game.
even the Renekton is difficult to kill, and Jace has the Serpent's Fang, but that's not
It's
an
gonna
auto
take
win
getting
button. You
the
still have
Elder
to,
Dragon.
break through the
Yeah.
field. It's more
You're
effective
gonna have to
at it,
take
but
the
it's
next
not,
dragon away from
it's not gonna be the
KT.
insta-win, and he tried his best in that last fight. T1 were pretty doomed in that situation, but I think if T1 can control space before an objective, then they can win fights. Unfortunately, they did not have any control. They had a flanking Lee Sin in that last one, and you know, maybe it's
Death
now too
cap
late
on
for them to get
Seraphine.
control as the
Seraphine
goal
has a
base spikes back up
huge
here for KT, but still remains to be seen. But I think it's
damage.
not 100% over because T1, if they win one
What am I wanting to
fight,
say?
they turn this one around.
I don't know. It'll come back to me.
Is looking for another Zenith Blade, doesn't find it this time.
Just tried to say that her damage will be much higher now because she got the death
That
cap.
has certainly not changed throughout the entirety of this series. Now, able to get on in here. That's
Power
not
spike is the
really
word
gonna
I'm
find too much there, as
said.
Faker's just gonna have to
Seraphine
back
has a
off the
huge
next
power
line
spike
of
now because
defense.
she's got her death cap.
Zeus is heading home, but they need a defense and they need it now.
Yeah, they've got so much poke as they're sieging out these turrets as well. As now KT wary of the fact that there could be a bit of a flank angle here. They can't see the Jace on the minimap. BDD is rotating in. Ono still looking for that angle, and Perfect. He's just prepping this bottom wave.
Yeah, if BDD gets picked for any
Perfect's
reason, I feel like KT
teleport is
cannot win the
down.
fight, but he's just been so careful this game. It's kind of insane.
Yeah. And he just understands that he is the one that has the target on his back. And he's going to play around it as best he can. Q going to connect there onto Pyosik. He's just going to back off. Big shield eruption there with the shock blast. And Perfect.
I don't know, Owner
just
might get
wants to
caught
find that
out.
Blast cone in. The Infernal Rift certainly helping out there as far as giving Renekton some engage angles.
It's just no great angle here for anyone to teleport to.
Dragon in
It's a beast,
40
you know?
seconds.
Oh god, okay, BDD dashing forward this time is going to get out of the way of the seismic shove yet again. I mean, hitting the Lucian with that is just obscenely hard. It is so difficult.
It looks like
just
KT
kind of
are gonna
cryo their
recall and
way
come back
through
and
this
prep
mid lane
for the
to
dragon.
The dragon spawning in 30 seconds, and that's a ton of damage.
Might be
for
better
the
just to
Seraphine.
run down
You
here instead of
consider
recall.
The stat she's already picked up from the solo.
Yes, maybe
Infernal
Barrel's got to
Rift
go
with the
back
death
here and
cap,
get a
stacking
control
everything
ward or
together,
two.
so much AP
Also got
on
Thorn
this
Mail.
champion again that isn't really
A Bramble
necessarily
Vest.
balanced around
I
what-
sold the
what
Thorn
he
Mail
has
to get the 2 control
and
wards.
so she does a lot of damage.
Guma
she
has
the same
2.
utility, and this Lucian is so hard to kill because
Yeah, well,
BDD is
KT's
playing
got a
so
lot
safe,
more
knowing,
control
as you said,
wards.
that he is the main character. He is the backbone of this comp.
Not to mention, he also gets like movement speed, I'm pretty sure, from the W from surround sound from Seraphine. He
Everybody's
also then
summoners
gets the
are
extra
up.
Shield, the reapplication of the Trigger Siege shield, and then like it's just kind of ridiculous.
T1
But T1,
just-
looking for this one. Def
KT
realizing
were a
that
little
ball
late
was
here.
in
They're
the
gonna
wrong
give this
position.
dragon over.
Let's see whether they can keep themselves alive. Is Perfect. You are just dead,
Wow.
my friend. The rest of your team were not there.
That
Kind
was
of,
a disaster.
Yeah.
Arrogant on
KT
KT's part right
They
there.
pushed mid all the way to the inhibitor, but didn't get the inhibitor.
Could have
So that
finished
doesn't
this game
necessarily
out.
Just for free, get the bag. I think they definitely should have split their backs and tried to send some members who didn't need to purchase items actually over there to contest some priors.
Jace
Because, like
has
I
got a
said, if T1 get there
brutalizer
first,
now.
They can win a fight. And Faker just said, no,
So
you're not allowed to come over here.
30
And then instead of
minutes,
walking
you
away
want
with
3
the
items.
L, Perfect was like, oh, that's a big Q. And then he went in and he did the big
Jace
Q,
is
but he
on
died
3
because
plus the
his teammates couldn't get there.
brutalizer.
So, yeah, this one's just a bit bizarre. As like his whole team can't be here, he like flashed in. Yeah, he wanted to see how much healing he could get on one big Q. It was a lot, but then he died.
Huh.
He had Sterix, not enough actually, as it turns out.
Sometimes you just want to.
I like this little item value thing that the LCK shows. Oh, well, now Renekton's on Spear, Shojin.
And doesn't this change the
BDD's on 4 items.
Because only Perfect died, and it's only the first Infernal Dragon for T1. But it's really good for T1 that they didn't give the Infernal Soul to KT. However, it's less
Baker
good that
has Death
they
Cap
didn't actually
now.
win a team fight, and KT still have map control. And
But
the inhibitor's still naked.
BDD's still up by
It
another
doesn't change the
item.
overall state of the game all too much.
Yeah, and Baron going to be up in 19 seconds. Perfect is not even forced to use a teleport or anything to get over there. So no harm, no foul, but still quite a quizzical.
Seraphine might run a Zonya's.
Engage angle where he didn't necessarily need to. But that's fine. That's fine. We'll stop
It's okay.
harping on
It's
about
okay.
it.
Yeah, no,
he's a young man, young player, and we'll give him benefit of the doubt that he.
We'll let Hirai tell him, you know.
Yeah. I think perhaps we know where the VOD review is going to start.
Comet and Supreme probably have a few words as well.
Yeah.
Maybe Deft is already.
I imagine if like they pull Perfect aside and say, Perfect, you know what you did wrong. He's gonna like, yeah, I know I shouldn't have gone in there, but like, you know, I just rushed a blood to the head. I won't do it again, boss. It's okay.
Zayac gets the Scryer's Bloom of the Baron at Pit.
Keep like having the perfect angle to start Baron.
But
and having
KT
the
only
point
have a
control
control
instead of
ward
brushes
there.
and Just go chase a Sejuani. Just put up the brushes. Use your setup.
Ona now just going to be chased out by Beryl. There's a Weaver's Wall as Beryl's
think
getting
Oner's gonna
amongst
get
it.
caught
Gonna
out
stun
here.
him up
Yep.
as the
Huh.
high note is so good. Solar Flare.
Either way, that'll
Owner
give
as well.
KT
Remember,
the
he does have
Baron.
GA, so he can keep himself alive for a lot longer.
What if you were a champion with CC shields a little bit? Yeah. It's actually crazy. All right, now they're going to start the Baron. T1 all around them.
KT or T1's got some vision down here in the Baron pit. Let's see what's up. BDD's ultimate is down. Teleport's down. Looks like Renekton just popped his ultimate. His flash is down. His teleport is down. He doesn't have the Conqueror, so he's not going to survive in fights for very long. Guma's cleanse is down. Carrier just used his teleport, but all their ultimates except for Talia's is up. Jace has his ultimate up.
Yeah, there's a seismic Cosmic Shove going to connect onto Perfect. Down to 50%. The shot.
So maybe Carrier can land an awesome Sejuani ultimate here.
Land as Owner. Can he be the
Owner goes in and steals the Baron, which that's what Owner does a lot. He did get his GA, but I don't think that's going to change much. They lost Zeus, they lost Guma. Owner's just trying to keep KT from pushing into their base.
Touch the Seraphine, and even though the Baron was picked up here by T1, it's likely that KT can still do some big damage to this base.
I think they should be able to close this out. Well, they don't. They gotta wait for this other wave to get up here.
Alone to defend is going to be so difficult. Guma not really an 80 carry here. They have Baron buff minions.
Oh, another Solar Flare that really nailed the minion as Faker's going to go gold inside.
So it's hard for KT because they're doing this into Baron buffed minions.
Daisy, she's just wandering around, Carrier going the wrong direction, throws the
But one by one, T1 are falling.
taken down. It's BDD collecting his 8th of the game as Gumayushi slinks into the mist, but he might want to stay there as this game is over. KT roaring back into the series. It would not
that was kind of hard for me to get through that game. I had a headache all evening, so I apologize if I'm not on the top of my game. But again, that's life. That's every day. I'm not going to have perfect VODs every day. Most of the time I'm going to be off, and maybe like once a week I'll be on. So that's just how it is. If you're a new streamer out there or you're trying to grind solo queue, you just got to do it day in and day out. And learn that life's not perfect. We're not playing in a laboratory.
Something like, for me, we've talked so much about how Brand works really well in these death ball comps. Like where everyone wants to stack together, which you want to do with Seraphine Ivan. You can just throw all your AoE, hit everyone, get massive value. They didn't end up going for that. They ended up going for the Lee Sin. Didn't really find success in the early game, and if you're diving into this composition as a Lee Sin, there's too much CC, there's too much shielding.
I don't understand why my Windows key sometimes doesn't work and I can't do this, and then other times I can. I rebooted my computer 3 times today and then it worked. I feel like it's the Riot Vanguard that's literally making it so I can't use my Windows key, because everything's up now. What seems to be screwing it up every time is when I run the League of Legends client.
Right, and I guess like the Lee Sin pick's idea is he can like get a good ult on Lucian, and if he finds a pick on that, they don't have enough damage to cut through Lee Sin's sustain. I guess that was the plan, but you can see like he just doesn't have any angles against a team comp that can just surround the Lucian and shield him and keep him going while having the CC up. Because nobody on the T1 can actually really pop the CC for Lee Sin. There's no one to actually make openings.
Yeah, absolutely. I was a little bit uncertain about KT's comp because I just harken back to the days of Funnel Lucian and I'm like, oh god, but the Seraphine at least was able to back it up and do some damage.
Seraphine, Ivern with the shielding.
With this early play that T1 actually tried to get started here on a Pioshik, which goes horrifically wrong.
Yeah, and this is worst case scenario, an early skirmish going badly as a T1 composition. They focus so heavily on Pioshik, but then you see Zeus ends up in a 1v1 while this 2v2 mid jungle's going. And the thing is, playing into shield heavy champions is that if you don't kill a target, they'll just keep getting value. You know, now Lucian's trying to take damage, but he's got a big shield. And the split focus, everyone on KT being low but no one dying, I think really hurts your chances.
Right, and you can really see how like Renekton is...
I like hearing the caster's analysis, especially over in the LCK. I'll be honest, over in the LEC, I don't really pay attention to it that much.
But it just wasn't fast enough, and Lucian got into the fight and just cleaned up.
Yeah, he did so much in that early fight, and we can take a look at highlight 2.
I think this is the pinnacle of LOL esports.
For the side of KT after this 3rd dragon take for them.
Or at least that's what they say. It's the Korean server is the best server in the world, so the best players in the world are there. It looks like it's true to me because other regions will just hire random solo queue players off the Korean ladder and they'll instantly have jobs in LEC or LCS.
But again,
So
they're
there
just
must be
dreadful, and
some
they're
value to the
constantly
LCK
together. They
server.
send the TP flank to cut them off, but
I think
they try
there
and make it
may be a
engage.
debate, is
They
it
do
the
get
China
Seraphine,
Super
but
server or the
the
LCK
ultimate
server?
return just
But then again, you'll watch
guarantees the
LPL
fight.
players like
Yeah, and that's right, it
Kanavi,
just felt like T1 was
Rookie
very lost,
playing
like,
on 40 ping
the
on the
other team is
Korean
just
server,
running
so
away, like realizing, oh, we lost Drake. We know.
personally I think the LCK server is the pinnacle, and that's just because the players have body of work and stuff.
Leads into the whole team getting killed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's take a look at this a very interesting graphic we had prepared because we really wanted to
Wow,
see
it's a lot of
some
shielding.
Fang into these shields.
Yeah, and the thing is, it didn't do that much because Jace got it quite late, and also Jace isn't the best applier. I would have much preferred to see like the center pick it up, maybe earlier as well. So you got 2 items in, didn't pick it up. You know, the item is kind of tricky because not every champion can build it, but you have 2 champions this game who can build it.
Yeah, but he's not
going
gonna
to
shield that much damage, Jace.
And if you don't have one, the shields we saw in that game were just massive. Like, you need
Squishy.
the item to cut them down. I've even
You're
seen
not
people
getting
build up,
items like
AP
the
champs
Ivern,
Zyra just because you can apply all this
Ivern
damage.
shield, and then the
It's so
AP,
obnoxious, these shield comps.
and then
Yeah, it's definitely a big
the
deal.
items
Guys,
that
do
grant
you
extra
ready to
shielding
go?
and
Let's see who
healing.
does pick it up here for game number 2 on the side of KT. It will be, in fact, the guy that had a bit of pressure on him to do some of the carrying, and that he did.
Right.
BDD carried.
It dodges.
And I think if the Lucian fantastic standout.
Yeah, pretty clear that he's the one that does deserve that. Even a shout out to Pioshik, though. I like it playing the 3.
And yes, they might script his run. I know, definitely his stop.
Where's the end of game number 2?
Sign be able to, like T1, negate the prophecy?
I like the girl in front.
Complete 180, and this really hit the mark. It was a risky draft, but damn, did it pay off.
Looked really good. I tell you what, BDD, he must have got some tips from his old mate Prey that, of course, they used to play together for quite some time. His Lucian was fantastic. BDD looked really good in this game, but the Seraphine also stealing the show, much like she would. We're going to go to a short break.
So we've got 3 games here in the Telecom war. Hopefully I can wake up for the last one. So I'm going to take my AFK in my break, make some tea. Might have to take my little one outside, but he's okay right now. All right. And we're back for game number 3 of the Telecom war. KT versus T1. All right.
The back of the head by that sign, and definitely not the person holding it.
Okay, I got my co-pilot with me. And some days he's good and rests, but today he's really anxious.
I do think drafts have played a really critical role in this series.
So I apologize. He was really good the other day when I did the G2 Fnatic. Like 8 hours long.
The Lee Sin pick, while it was interesting, I do agree with the space.
Sure, I'm close enough to my microphone. So T1 are on the blue side this game.
That means that our R5 picks in every game have just been really weird.
Yes.
Right? Like, and I guess it was B5 that was the biggest problem for KT in game 1, like picking Rakan into Poppy, and then we saw just how terribly that went. And then once again, you know, that Lee Sin coming in was really problematic. But Ezreal, Lucian, both of them banned away. Oftentimes you see a Lucian ban and you're like, Deft getting another Lucian ban. But nope, this one's for BDD. And Ashe and the Rumble.
So Ashe banned on the red side.
I do think that KT
Rumble, which is a permanent ban. Ezreal's banned.
Yeah. For the same reasons we mentioned it in game 2.
Lucian's banned.
Simple. But then he might get Corki because they have first pick here. See if this is going to be banned by T1 themselves.
I think allowing T1 to go for the
Renekton's banned.
They're going to ban the Renekton themselves. So that means that KT probably need to ban something like the Azir. I think has to go. Right?
I feel like I'm much more concerned about Faker's Azir than his Corki right now.
Can't believe it, but Renekton was banned.
And that would be a great counter for BDD to play into it. I do think taking the Azir away feels Faker specific.
Azir banned.
They might just leave us with that first pick Corki for T1, or they can go.
Corki again is good into Ivern, so then I doubt KT will pick Ivern.
But you know, you have so much power in this first pick.
If T1 picked Corki.
Yeah. What are they going to go for? I mean, the Corki is what the meta slave does.
Talia didn't work out too well for him. So this will also deny, or should deny, Ivern from KT.
What the announcer earlier called a traditional T1 style, like what we saw in game 1.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the Corki is not quite as bad as far as like Faker's recent champion pool, right? Like, the Tristana really has been the one that people have been umming and ahhing about. I think the Corki is something that Faker has played very well for quite some time.
And they take away Jace from...
That's a blind Jace.
Well, what?
All
right, this game's going to show you what I talk about, how Corki's good into Ivern. Jace. Mid. Into Corki. Jace wins against Corki 100% of the time. Provided that's 2 games.
Just gonna do it again. This time with a Jace.
When the Jace is the one with the brushes.
Could be Jace top.
In the brush and fire freely. It feels a lot
better. But like I say, Corki is good into Ivern because his phosphorus bomb reveals vision every time you put the bush down on your teammates,
I don't know what he's going to play into this one. He might just pick
which pretty much counters the effect.
I mean, the space already indicated it. I think it should be Brand. Nidalee, I don't think does the same thing.
No, you literally can't.
So what is Nidalee into Ivern?
Yoshik will just press the shield before it hits every time.
I mean, this is still like...
I think Nidalee's really good into Ivern. Even though he's supposed to be a counter AP jungle. Let's see.
Then, like, it's difficult. The guy just can, like, press the root caller button and then you sort of stay still for a while.
You need
no
to
stats.
Have a matchup for this Corki and for your top lane where you feel like you have enough control so Nidalee can actually be proactive early. Cassante into Jace is definitely one where you can kind of weather
Nidalee wins against Ivern 64% of the time on patch 14.13. We don't have enough data on 14.14.
Has BDD been practicing the Zeri? Because they could theoretically go for a mid-Zeri angle. There's quite a few...
Mordekaiser. So is Mordekaiser good into Cassante because T1 drafted Cassante? I'm guessing this is a Cassante counter. It was a Skarner counter for a while. I have not enough data to tell you. And 4 games on the patch before, so don't really know. Guessing it's a counter if they pick Mordekaiser into Cassante.
Okay. You know what? I was thinking about this right before the hopper came through. I was like, you know what? I guess it's Jace mid because there's not really
so the Jace gets flexed mid. Jace is good into Corki. But Corki's counters a lot of what Ivern does, hiding his teammates where you don't need wards to see.
And he played Mordekaiser, and it was in a draft that was similar to this, and it
Senna ban from KT. Even though they beat Senna.
Perfect can have a similar sort of performance because
But
Mordekaiser
Guma has
in the
like
LPL,
a
Mordekaiser in the LCK,
really high win rate on
um,
Senna.
LPL Mordekaisers are just extremely good.
So it was a
We haven't
very
found
valiant
the
effort of
same
KT to
handle on
take
it.
a game
I think Keaton
off
is the only one that
T1
kinda
with
got
Senna.
close, but we haven't found the success for the Mord so far here in the LCK. So let's see what Perfect can actually do. As Senna going to be banned away, and there is the Leona
Misfortune
ban.
ban.
I was going to say more Shadow Isles vibes, but Mordekaiser is Noxus, so I'm a bit silly.
This is the first time Kalista was left up by KT, and then it gets banned by T1. It looked like they had a great angle to actually play Kalista here into the draft.
So I put these numbers here so you can see how
So
when you're on blue you get one single pick and then you have to pick two champions at the same time, so that you might pick champions that have some type of synergy together, whereas red you only get one group of champs that maybe have some type of synergy together, and then you have to pick single champs out.
You end up playing the Lulu, and then you have even more shielding.
And so KT picked Zeri.
Based on what comes through here, because Caitlyn feels like it's probably the best bet to try to get some prio there bottom side. Maybe the Nidalee can play through this a little bit. Otherwise, you know, if you're really going for like a Draven Renata, you're going all in, you could do something like that. But
Caitlyn, Lux, perhaps?
Yeah, a bit of pushing power. Let's see whether they stick to as much lane pressure as possible. Yeah, there it is. The Lux is going to come.
Which I'm not really a big fan of Caitlyn Lux, because I think you can exploit them with like a heavy melee engage support and be very aggressive against the Lux.
T1 needs to control the neutral. They need to be able to land this poke and stop.
So what is the Caitlyn into Zeri? Don't have any stats. No stats. 55%. Zeri wins against Caitlyn 55% of the time on the patch before. All right.
KT from doing what they want to do.
It's 100% a lane pick to grab this Lux.
We don't need that site anymore. Nautilus. Nautilus, I'm guessing, is good into the Lux. Caitlyn, I guess I have to look. Hope I don't get that ad again. This goes and resets all of this stuff.
When's the last time?
That is really annoying. %. What was the other Lux? Yeah, 60%. Like I said, a heavy engage melee type of support's good into the Lux.
In the bushes, I guess that's
true.
Yeah,
there we go.
That's kind of a positive. There's not really much counterplay to that from KT Rolster, but
I thought you left all of your optimism in the last game, but you've got
This
the
on
optimism
my
out
draft
for T1 here
page.
as well with this draft. And I don't
Which
mind
I'll
it.
put in
Like,
the
this is a
notes on the
Pokemon,
VOD.
right? We've seen these work in the past. Frontline of Justa Cassante is a little bit of.
See if I can get my tea over here without burning anybody. Ooh, still really hot. Oof. Helps your voice though when you're talking really loud or talking forever. Once you start talking all the time, then you run into, wow, my voice hurts all the time, even if I'm talking loud or just talking low.
Of a worry.
yeah, especially if this Jace come through, but if your Caitlyn hits your mid laner and then you're just at half health.
Oh,
and
the
you can't
goat
actually fight
deft.
through the shields, so it's very impressive. Again, one
Can't
KT
read
with the
Korean.
other here. I think T1's just which better than his Tristan.
For Piotrek, see how he goes as we jump into the Rift for game 3. I feel like the T1 fan chants are extraordinary.
So Deft has barrier. BDD's on Electrocute, which I don't really understand. I mean, maybe it's more for the trades, and I don't know, because Corky's on the fleet footwork and can heal up, so maybe the Electrocute. I would think Conqueror would be better, especially later on in the game. Guma loves Barrier. So Lux has a Sweeper Lens, and KT doesn't. They got their 2 wards.
Narrowly loud, but you can hear the emotion.
Owner gets sight on Ivern, on Pyosek. Zeus is missing. Their enemies are missing, Zeri and Nautilus. Maybe gonna get some type of play off here on BDD.
And the desperation from KT fans every time, and it's fantastic as BDD. He has played this Jace in the past quite a few times, actually. I think, you know, him and Showmaker, 2 examples of players that really do like it.
I think maybe Carrier would have wanted the ward in that bit.
Just dominating lane,
but
mid Jace, often large CS gaps and things like that. We'll see
I
how
don't
it
know. I
does.
mean, KT didn't get down here and put a
Maybe
ward,
take some
so
fleet footwork just to try and make sure that he is as comfortable in this lane as possible.
I do really feel like the Jace spikes a little bit faster and a little bit harder than the Corki.
Barrel gets a ward here. Put my little one down. Stay down there and be good. We're almost done. I'll be done. After this last game, I can take you outside and we'll walk. Go for a walk.
In some of those early skirmishes, you know.
Perfect gets a deep ward on T1's blue buff over here. But T1 get a ward here at their jungle entrance, so they'll see if Pyosek comes over here and tries to invade and take their buffs.
You know,
one of the weaknesses of Ivern is you got to come back and wait an amount of time before you can come back again, especially when you're invading the enemy jungle, so it's really hard to go and steal jungle camps. I have a VOD of me trying to do it.
And just blowing up a single target, and if Zeus isn't there, for example, on a dragon fight, there is no real front line here, and Faker can offer
Cassante might be... Notice too, Zeus, Cassante is going to be pretty late for his laning phase, but that's okay. So it might put him a little bit behind in the CS. I really like that this ward here, the zombie ward or Ghost Poro, and BDD's running this as well. But I think this will work out well for Owner, sweeping out wards later on, having superior vision with the traps. And extra wards. Normally this bottom lane of Lux, Caitlyn pushes really hard and they'll be overextended all the time, so Owner, it's smart for Owner to be over here starting in the KT bottom side jungle. I'm sure he'll be down bottom lane a lot. Maybe take the first dragon. I don't know about this Mordekaiser Cassante matchup. I would say Mordekaiser must be some type of counter. So not T1, KT will probably be trying to get the Void Grubs to accelerate this top lane. So maybe some of the reason T1 came down here and started in the bottom side of KT's jungle. And again, this Guma, Carrier, they're going to be shoving aggressively the entire time, probably winning the lane. So Ivern did get over here and steal the blue buff from T1. And they were on vision though, T1 saw. Again, the Corki, I think, counters the Ivern very well. Because the Phosphorus Bomb gives you vision whenever Ivern comes in and W's.
That's nicely done. Spear going to connect there.
So you can do damage on the enemy even though he's in the
We're
bush.
seeing the power of this bottom lane. And
Very strong, yeah.
this is something that
Looks
my
like
goodness,
Ivern's
okay.
going to come over and
There's
waste
another
his
one.
time
Somehow, Barrel's going to
and
be
not
able to
find
leave it
anything
alone,
up in
but
his jungle, so
still,
he's just going to have to
even
come to the
as
bottom
the
turret.
hook is connecting, there is more poke being landed, and Deft is just continuing to have the most horrible time. The low range of this Zeri, a huge problem. And yeah, this is probably one of the best.
And the
lanes
Nidalee
that
will
Gumi and
out-accelerate
Carrier
the
played together,
Ivern as well.
Dates
Just
back quite some time.
by like 10 minutes, 20
This
minutes.
is a lane that, as you mentioned, they played together a lot. They played at Worlds, for
And
example.
Deft's losing a lot of time here in the lane where he had to go back and recall.
But the power of it outside of lane is often directly tied to how much you get done in lane and how much you can put the enemy AD carry down, because there's that power trough as BDD.
Whoa, he's just flashing in, looking for Faker here. Can he find the
Faker's flash is down, so that was a good time to make some type of play. Again, that's what you do. You want to make your plays off knowing when the enemy's cooldowns on their summoner spells will be back up. That also costs KT their flash though, so Owner could come and make some type of play middle if BDD's overextended.
Not again. Why does this have to happen? As you can see, even in the mid lane, they're just
Now in solo queue, this Caitlyn Lux doesn't work very well.
Full control of this bottom side of the map. Spear going to miss for now.
Ivern gets his cooldown boots.
By the way, we are very, very close to 4,000 assists for BDD as well. Just need one more, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, he got the kill for that first blood. So next one, gonna have to be an assist.
Yeah, next time.
Deft made it to level 3, guys. It's not that...
Zarya just has boots. I'm sure
Kind of over down here, but there are still
Guma
other
should
pressure
back and
points,
get his
including
BF
which we
sword
already
at
saw.
least, or Berserker
And
Greaves.
this CS gap is pretty massive, but we have seen bigger
Got 40,
recoveries than this.
almost 50 CS to
Take a lot
12.
of effort as once again BDD putting heavy pressure onto Faker here.
Nidalee
Already
getting
has
ahead
that
of
so,
Ivern.
you know,
Mid
they
lane
spend
staying
all of their
even, top
resources
lane
trying to
staying
shut
fairly
down the
even.
game will eventually come to be an issue that this Jace is very large, but if you compare BDD's advantage over Faker to Guma's over Deft,
Feeling better. My headache's finally going
be
away,
happy if you're
so
a KT
I'm
fan.
more talkative.
It's
I
18.
apologize. Okay, so the top laners are on their level 6 now.
Is Pyosik gonna need to shield him? BDD just able to get the kill. Still, it's answered this time as the jungle is now facing off. Pyosik without too much firepower. And Deft continuing to get zoned. So yeah, I mean... BDD
Oh, a really
has
good
that
play
kill
on
there.
Barrel right
The
there.
carrier there at the same time as Barrel just desperately trying to do anything that he can. But he is now the one burning down. Deft trying to get anything done as that's a last auto.
But good
And
play
that
on
is a
Guma
dead
to get
Barrel
Barrel.
in the 2v2. And T1 just demonstrating that this bottom
Caitlyn's
lane,
one of
they
my
still got-
favorite
I mean,
champs.
Barrel tried his best to try
I'm
to
really
get
good at playing
any sort of
AD.
space here for Deft, but is unfortunately for him unsuccessful.
But
Good
I feel
spacing
like
there from Guma on
in
the
solo
low
queue,
bottom,
it's
takes
the
Barrel
worst
out.
position to
Deft
play.
left alone here. At least he's the one who survives. At least maybe he can get some of that critical farm. Now BDD picked up a second kill here in mid.
You could have like 3 items. Of course, I could be wrong. Maybe I need to just do it on my rank thing.
Better than an Ivern would have as we'll watch this again.
Yeah, he's like, give me the shield,
bush.
give me the shield.
Yeah, give me the shield, give me the bush. And down he goes. This is the first pick. I don't know if we'll get the second skirmish. Probably not.
나이스.
Yeah.
진짜 미쳤다 형. 쉴드 한 번만 더.
You're so good. You're insane, basically. And then this play, the shield this time not quite enough.
What do we
to
got going in the
stop
mid lane here?
killing him.
Yeah, BDD is human after all.
I don't know why that's
and here on the bottom
Windows
side of the map,
sticking out tonight.
Yeah, Deft and Barrel continuing to have just a terrible time.
Yeah, and I mean, okay.
Oh, speaking of terrible times, to the skies is Faker. Yeah, hands off keyboard here.
So it looks like KT's winning, but still really T1's winning. They're 1k ahead.
This area isn't real. The Corgi is starting to
This
be less
bottom
real
lane.
all the time.
Yeah, although
The other lanes are
does
staying
have
even. This bottom
a farm.
lane's crushing
Deft, unfortunately, not as lucky. Does
on
not
T1,
have a
crushing
farm.
the KT bottom lane.
He might need to call his old friend Chovy and see if
The
he
K-
gets something. from
Pyosex's
him.
flash is down. BDD's flash is down. Deft's barrel,
New Zealand.
Deft's
The
barrel,
old memes is,
Deft's
okay, Pyosik coming on in.
barrier is down.
As Owner does proc the Conqueror here.
Looks
as
like
now
Owner's
Kyria
gonna get the blue buff.
We're gonna fight his old friend. Going to miss that one a lot though, as there's the flash
Nope.
out from
So
Kyria,
Pyosek
realizing
gets
there's
level
a
6
lot
before
of enemies
Owner,
coming. Owner taking a fair bit of damage
which
here at
will
the same
allow
time.
them
Daisy getting
KT
amongst
to
it.
take the dragon. Well, he
And
used
Deft, I mean,
he used
he
Daisy
is
here to
Still
try to
massively
get
behind,
T1 away from this bottom turret. I was going to say he could use it, sneak over and get the dragon now, or the void grubs. It's the one thing that Ivern needs before he can take. He must be level 6. Whereas like Lee Sin can pretty much take the dragon at level 4, level 5, or Nidalee.
In the brush, man, the brushes are actually making it more frustrating for KT, and they're being built by their jungler.
Yeah, this is really annoying to deal with, but they are keeping this turret alive for now.
I don't know whether this turret is really worth trying to save.
Sante's got his Spectre's cow.
And the extender beam not really going to help out there as, okay, Root Caller does come on through. Kamiushi is going to get the heal, though, from the Primal Surge. And they try to do their best to take down the
so if you're gonna play this lane like Lux, Caitlyn, I mean, you're really gonna have to carry the game later on, 20-30 minutes in the game, which most players, especially in solo queue, start to really fall off and then slowly lose games that I see.
But if we get to a game state where KT can stabilize, right? I mean,
so the turret's down, and this is again where you go if you're a bottom laner. At this time, you go middle lane. Now, I don't know exactly what Guma's going top for. I guess it's to take the void grubs.
1600 is pretty big,
but he should really be mid lane.
Minutes and he's still 30 CS ahead. That means much less later on. That whole turret he picked up means much less later on because of the strengths of KT's.
I think Guma's just applying pressure to make KT.
Know that there is still hope if you can win one team fight.
They send KT sends Deft up top as well.
There's a world where you come back, but
There's going to be a fight over the void grubs. KT have the scuttle crab vision over the grubs. Might be another reason they sent Guma top. Basically because where KT have the scuttle crab.
And this 1v2 is not one that he's going to be too psyched about. Goshik is going to be over here. Hasten the Hold does come on through. Trigger Seed not quite there in time.
And it's interesting how Pioshik has basically become...
Owner is overextended, but he has flash.
He's like, no,
I don't look for him to go much further than that. Because he can get another ward over here, and then maybe he'll creep up to here.
And also so Def can get as much money as he can here.
Little buddy's snoring.
But like you say, I mean, this is just going to be more and more waves pushed in. BDD, very aggressive, understandably so.
So T1's just taking the void grubs right on top of the scuttle crab, which is
unfazed. No, he doesn't care. Not even a little bit.
Just challenging for KT to come over here and team fight.
So that is 2 apiece here. KT looking to try and lock down.
Owner's doing what you have to do as Nidalee. You can't just stand there and take these people down. Or take these champions down. You have to poke damage with the spears as he's doing. You know, half of her damage. Ooh. Now that hurts when you got a Lux ult and a Nidalee spear. And maybe a Caitlyn Q as well.
The grubs and the fact that they were able to control most of that fight until that binding landed gives you a little bit of hope that maybe they can pull something together here. But it is still looking so tough. Deft still 30 CS behind here. Still
as Barrel's missing, this pulls out the Daisy ult.
Yeah, and it's more plates. That's 2 of them going
also, Lux gives vision through Ivern as well. That's another thing that I'm thinking about. I think her bindings would give you vision on top of the brush, so this is a good comp into Ivern the Corki, or I've talked about the Ashe. The Caitlyn will give you traps on top of the Ivern, which will allow vision as well, so this is a really good Ivern comp. Because anytime he goes and puts his brush on top of his teammates, the Corki Q from the Phosphorus, I can't say that word, Phosphorus Bomb, the Caitlyn traps, Caitlyn's Q, Lux's kit from her E's, I think, will give you like this little circle which will give vision in the brush, or binding. Nidalee's traps will give visions into the brush as well, so this is a very good Ivern counter comp.
As we saw in the grub fight, if they have it, T1's comp can do very little.
Yeah. We'll need to see whether KT can actually get to a point where they're actually
his-
capable of utilizing
is
the
it-
power of this composition, right?
What's his
I
W
think
called?
Mordekaiser can be pivotal against compositions like this that really
Brush maker. That's what I thought it was called. So his brush maker is countered by 4 of the 5 champions on T1.
do need to have,
And that's part of why he shields and then he puts a brush on top of his teammates. And then if you don't have any type of ward or vision, it just blocks all damage you can do unless you're sitting in the brush. I mean, you can be in the brush, but mainly you want to be a ranged champion like Corki or Nidalee or Caitlyn or Lux. And when Ivern puts a brush on one of his teammates, then it stops any damage you're doing. But then if you Q from Corki or have a trap in the brush or get some type of damage from a Q from Caitlyn or whatever Lux's E and Q does, which will allow you vision in the brush, it's going to counter the main thing the W's doing that allows Ivern to be so successful and win. Besides the shielding.
Owner, though, did require a lot of help there. Still ends up getting away with his life, has the heal, and will be okay. But you could see the potential of what could have gone wrong there. Good flash from BDD. And we're starting part 2, this time on the Herald, but this time T1 a lot more control than they had the last.
I think that was a premature Daisy.
He's burning, but so's Beryl, and there's Faker picking up his first kill. T1 now with a big advantage, but not necessarily in the health bars. Still, the Rift Herald should be secured here. And T1 just making this win lane, win game composition work for them.
And the final spark was massive there as well, ripping through those health bars, making it so that there was no way KT could try to follow.
Should be about time to send Guma and Lux mid lane and Corgi start side laning. How much further is there left on this turret?
Guma's got an IE. They have a relatively farmed Lux as well. Does have Zazax in the inventory and completed.
Jace is roaming top to counter this dive. Nidalee's gonna catch him out.
Relatively soon, as there's some redemption damage, and the flash forward from Beryl. Gumayushi, he does not have his flash.
Guma doesn't have flash, so again, Beryl, KT, they knew to make a play on Guma. They knew his flash was down, and he got caught out. He was overextended over this line I talk about. That was it just showed what I'm talking about.
And now finally has an item.
A little bit of shutdown gold there, and
no flash.
Unfortunately for KT,
and here's the line.
Beryl's able to block the ace and the whole damage, and then they go straight in onto the Nidalee, but he flashes away. Beryl takes all that final spark damage, and unfortunately that is, with the combo down for BDD, not really much else they could do. Redemption to start this one off, and then Beryl.
Okay, Guma was way over the line.
Tries to hold Guma in place, and then
they did have a ward, but they got outnumbered.
Glacial Augment is going to spell disaster along with the root there, and Beryl, he is trying to do it again a bit early. Okay, I was going to say a bit early.
So yeah, this Nidalee's going to counter Ivern because of his brush maker or the traps he can put in the brush to get vision. Lux's E, Q, Caitlyn's traps, Corki's Q. I think the rockets might even give you some vision with the range. So T1's what? 26, so 3K ahead, almost 4K. Now items. They should be on one item, and hopefully boots. Guma gets caught out. He didn't have. He had flash.
Is just going to end them. The all-out comes through from Zeus, and now the flash forward deft smells blood in the water and wants to get some sort of kill here as Zeus getting himself out.
Well, this should give the dragon over to KT. It's pretty crazy that it's a 17-minute dragon we're fighting. T1 could have 3 by now.
But I don't even necessarily know who's in the best position to win.
So no dragons yet.
How these fights have been going, it's like Keria
This looks like an LPL game.
doing a little bit, right? And this time just ulted out. You mentioned, hey, if you have the man advantage, you win these, and it's Riftmaker on the Mordekaiser, so he actually ends up winning these duels.
Not to talk about the power spikes here. So Owner is trying to take the dragon, but KT, I guess they got the Riftmaker. I was getting ready to talk about the power spikes here. Daisy's out, so 1, 2, 3. Italy's flash is down. Corky's flash is down. Mordekaiser uses his flash right here. Guma has barrier and flash. Def doesn't have barrier. Jace's flash is down, but Jace and Corky are top lane fighting. Casante's too far away.
For the ultimate here, puts him in the death realm, and then look at Guma. There's just nothing he can do. Perfect.
Nothing they could do about the getting Mordekaiser ulted, I don't think.
Doesn't even have to shield until he gets out of the ultimate, and they could just kind of casually walk back. As Faker shows,
Casante really didn't get to do anything. He had to use his teleport. And he was right here. Was it even worth teleporting there? No, he didn't teleport. So Zeus was a little bit late to this to help. Maybe that would have turned the fight. So some mispositioning or out of play. Or KT just going for it. They found an advantage.
the mid turret goes down, and that is a big tool gone for KT to mitigate some of the aggressive pressure of
Looks like Owner's going to get the blue buff away from BDD. He has the smite advantage for one. Also, BDD didn't have his flash, so he knew better to not fight for the blue buff.
Himself in the banana brush and actually get access to Gumayushi is a big part of this, and it's something that T1 are going to try and desperately stop from happening as this game goes on.
Look at this gold here in turrets. 3,000 nearly for T1, all in that turret. In the bottom lane and the
it's like it's a 5K difference. It looks like the game's even if you're a normal League of Legends player and you look at this score, but I don't look at that score. I want you to look at the gold. Who has T1's way ahead in the gold department. That's how you judge who's winning the game, and then the Dragons.
They're way closer than they should be in T1. I mean, the fact that last fight was so close is a
KT did get 2 more Void Grubs. I still value the Dragons much higher than the Void Grubs.
We'll be able to crack this composition if KT can stabilize
BDD's on his 2 items already.
Map control for even just a second, because if they do get that map control, as unlikely as it seems, it feels like this is a winnable game for them. I'm not going to predict it, but never count this squad out, because we've seen already some crazy stuff in this game. BDD is extremely powerful, already hit that 2-item spike. Muramana is transformed.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. But I think that if T1 can keep playing their game plan, then that sort of standing gold.
Guma's on his 2 items now.
If you can't break the turrets, you can't get.
You want to have 2 items at 20 minutes in a perfect world, and then you can take the Baron.
More team fights here for KT, and I think this gentleman that we can see on our screen right now is going to be a big part of that. This Jace is just massive in this game.
Collector is now done for Guma as well, to just sitting on a Shiv and a Zeal. For Deft, at least the Shiv lets him farm better, and that 30 CS step.
I don't know too much about this item. I need to look into it more.
Get a second item. It will eventually be a little bit more relevant. It's BDD that T1 need to worry about.
It's a newer item I haven't messed around with in solo queue.
One of the biggest issues is they didn't have any engage, and if KT just sit on a bush, then it's really tough.
Nidalee on his 2 items. Casante's on his 2 items.
Suddenly, Deft just presses R and he cleans up.
Lux is on his 2 items.
To itemize here as Zeus into this comp, just wants to become very tanky, wants to be a big frontline for this Jace, and he has a big role to play in how they win these fights, because he is going to be the one who absorbs those shock blasts.
Oh yeah.
In an ideal world here for T1.
Yeah, Faker also now has the Muramana transformation. 1, 3, and 3, and it was looking
I
really
think
dire for Faker.
T1,
in,
okay,
the beginning of
T1's
this
able to
game,
go for
but
Baron now.
has since been able
Faker's
to
got
pick
his
up
main
farm
immune, so
and has made it to
I think
that
that's what
2-item fight
T1's
that we
doing
talked
here
about
is
so many
clearing
times
this
for the
out.
Corki.
Zeus can
So not
teleport into the
necessarily fully out
Baron.
of the woods, but certainly feeling better than the way Deft is at this point in time.
It's
Sitting
a
on
Scryer's Bloom to get any vision out here in the mid lane. I think that's what T1's prepping for. Oh, and Carry just gets caught out. That's the bad thing about the Lux.
But now BDD, he's on the prowl. The all-out angle is going to be there for Zeus, and he drags the
Oh
chase
man,
into the
BDD
team.
didn't do anything.
Gorgeously played from the man in the top lane, and that is going to give
A
T1
nice
the
play
edge.
from Cassante or Zeus.
From Zeus, the angle through the
All right,
edge of
T1,
the
let's see
Baron
you go
pit.
for
He gets the
Baron.
perfect diagonal there, and T1 back in the fight because now KT without the Jace cannot continue to contest. And after Carrier got caught there,
It's like they're going. I was gonna say, are they going for Dragon instead? Guess Faker's going bottom lane.
Flash out from BDD, but it's not enough.
They're not ready for Dragon until.
Across the wall there.
Oh, they're all up.
That is so much money as well. I think he was sitting on another bounty. So
I think they're prepping for this
exactly the person
second
that
dragon.
didn't want dying in that moment. Moonstone
Maybe
now
Faker's wanting to
completed
get their
for
blue
Pushing,
buff
though.
as
They're
well.
getting more and more items put together, but we credited them for a great composition.
Great route here from Kyoshik, and then Barrel follows up on his life.
Really, Carrier was out of
Also,
position
you know,
there.
4/5 of the health bar of owner is also gone. As watch this. A wraparound.
Beautiful angle.
So clean. So calm in the calms. Like I would say a bit frantic, but very, very much like, you know, when you look at his play, his movement there, he knew the angle he could potentially find. He was able to find it.
Mordekaiser's on
Hold
his
them
2
out,
items now. This
and
proto belt.
Brunan's is done
Ivern's
for
on
Deft.
his 2 items.
It is a very big spike.
So
in
they're
this
all
area.
on their items now.
Again, it feels like miracles are required here. We keep seeing picks, we keep seeing punish because Carry has to go so
Now
far.
there's a
up
big
front, set
item,
up
the
these
Morella
bindings, so
Nomicon,
maybe
and to
allow
help
for a
cut
blow
down the
off.
Mordekaiser
Connect.
healing and the
They play a little bit
shielding.
more cautiously, I feel, because there's no role in which KT should be able to wrestle back control, but every fight is looked
Mordekaiser's teleport is down, BDD's flash is down.
To actually trade up, or at least trade one back. I mean, with the shutdown, massive trade up. for
Zeus'
T1.
teleport and flash are down. Nidalee flash is
If you
down.
imagine T1's composition,
Guma's
like,
flash is
trying to do a
down.
balance,
Carry's about
right?
to have his ignite back up.
KT have so much engage, so many of these
This
angles to
wall
set
that
up to try
Guma
and
makes
answer.
with the
That
traps.
can be quite difficult as they are doing the dragon. It's very easy to do dragon when there's
This is like
actually
the
no
time where
ground.
KT need to emergency take
And
this
that is,
Baron.
That's a high value one. So 2 Drakes going over to T1 as Final Spark going to be thrown towards Perfect. They want to be able to get this bounty gold for taking down the turret. There's the ace in the hole, and Def takes
Barrel goes
half
back
of
to
his
get
health bar.
a couple more control
That
wards.
hurts a
Sure
lot.
he'll need for the Baron
Rapid fire
pit.
cannon going to be the 3rd one here for Gumayushi.
Definitely a huge spike for him once he has that. I feel like that's the moment where we're like, okay, he's well and truly out of the trough. He had a massive gold lead, but you still are Caitlyn, and it's still kind of awkward to play out the mid game. He was given the mid turret as well, so has been really playing quite well with the advantages he had. Did get ulted by Perfect that one time, but now once he has the RFC, he can just one-shot people basically, and he's gonna be running around the map. And if he finds Deft is gonna have a hard time winning that duel, even with the
Owner being
barrier.
a good jungler, jungler giving his red buff
we've
over
seen
to
this game
Guma.
seemingly be so much closer, I feel like, than it needed to be. And Perfect now has his second item as well, so he can use the dash cannon to close the gap on Guma.
And
maybe
Guma
even
taking
Faker as
some
well, or
jungle
just
farm
pull
as
Zeus
well.
Out of the fight, so the shock blast value could be high. I see so many
You want to
angles
be
here for KT.
Nidalee
While they ended
can
up
pretty
losing
much
out
keep
on
up
this
with the
area lane, this game
laners,
was
so
felt
she's
so
sitting at
obvious.
200
Feels
CS.
like
That's
otherwise
one
the
of the
draft is
reasons
so
of the
robust
AP
that
junglers right now.
there are ways
Now
back in.
Ivern's just
Like,
going to get
I
more and more
keep having to
behind.
tell everyone that it's not over because it looks very over, but I don't trust yet, Atlas.
Yeah, no, I don't know either. And it's I think a product of what we've seen from both of these teams recently. We've seen genius and we've seen failure, and we just don't know what's going to happen in any given moment.
And
T1
T1
Barrel's
just
confidence in this game
slowly
is just off the
working up
charts.
here to get
Despite the
vision,
depth, he
to
has just
get
not
any
given up. He's always fishing for
minion
the
camps they
angles.
can get away
And
from
he's been pretty
KT in their
successful. He's
jungle.
0-5-3, but he's gotten
Again, the
really
way I
some
look at this
really
game
critical
is
moments for
KT own
KT.
this much of the map.
I'm just
Right
looking
now.
for the next one.
If
Seeing
you're looking
whether
at the
they can find
kills and
another
you
angle.
think
Clearly,
that
of course, he's going
it's
to
a
be the main
close game,
character.
it's not.
Getting
And
to
then
VDD in
T1
these fights
own
is the tricky
this
part.
much of
You
the
know, They
map.
had the Zeus, Cassante
They have
engage
2
on the last time
dragons.
around, but How do you close
But I
the
want
gap
you to
on this
start
Jace?
looking at
Maybe
the
you just
gold
simply weather
value.
the
That's
storm
how you
and
know
have the
who's
Caitlyn
winning
do
the
work
game.
front to back it.
So
Yeah.
2
Because trying to set up
plus,
an engage or a
or
pick is
7
so
minus 2
challenging.
is 5. And it's almost, it's 8 minus 2. So 6.
They find the pick. They set up the vision, and they're
I
gonna
think
look for a
T1's going to be
Baron
able
off
to
the
take
back
this
end of it.
Baron now.
Area has been so essential in finding these bindings to actually punish this aggressive positioning from Barrel.
Can they clear this
There is gonna be vision
sword
going
out?
into this Baron pit. Yoshik does have his flash
Oh,
available.
look at that flash
Maybe
play
the
from
hero is the question. The answer is
Casante.
no. Zeus
And
just
he's,
said, "Get
look at
out
all
of
this
here." The Baron's
tankiness
going to
and
be
time
secured.
that
Casey's gonna be
Casante
taken
can
out
just
first. Yoshik is
take.
destroyed, and T1 just snowballed the fight so beautifully. Yes,
Faker's falling
Faker
for
is
that
able to
shield
kill a
from
Lux, but,
Mordekaiser.
I think Carrier did his job this game. Faker
So
gonna
they
get
should
the
be able to
lockdown
go
back,
shove
Dylan.
this
Now
lane
12 to
pretty
8.
far
The
and take
goal
this
lead is
T2 turret,
skyrocketing.
And it's gonna get
base
even
turret, or
worse.
this
I mean, the
T2
game
turret, base
is not going
turret.
to end off of this Baron very likely.
It's like Zeus is going to shove this lane, take this turret. Dragon's up at a minute 45 seconds. Zeus has teleport. Owner is on Zanya's, which I really like. Faker's got teleport. Barrel is prepping for Dragon. I don't think they'll get the Dragon, but at least he's down prepping, trying to get vision.
And now I feel like there is just too much of a lead. There is no way to come back for KT. This was certainly one of the picks of all time as they just press all
Wow,
buttons on
Nautilus
opponents
was a
while
goner
the
really
spear
fast.
in the
He's
hole.
pretty tanky. I didn't look to see if he's on Warmogs yet or not.
You're like, okay, well maybe Pyosik gets
BDD's damage really didn't do anything to Casante here as he's 1 versus 4ing.
There's no jungle angle here. It's not going to happen. BD goes in on this Casante. But there's
Looking
so
at the
much
live
damage
game
from
down
Guma.
here.
Looks like Zeus is actually two-shotting him, but it's Guma over the wall, just popping him. And yes, Perfect does get the flank and takes Carrier out, but his sacrifice was legendary, and it's probably what's going to win T1 this Telecom war.
Yep. Hook is going to
See
miss
it, the
here.
brush,
T1 is gonna
and
bring down on
Corky.
Messi.
All of
Misses.
T1's
Thanks
picks
for
are
the
going to
gap
counter
ball
that
assist.
brush.
Perfect's going to pull him in. That is Barrel dead for the 7th time this game. And KT just looking like there is absolutely nothing that they can do.
I don't
Praise
think
them for the
KT can
drop,
come
but
back in
things
this.
went
A lot of it,
so
like I
wrong.
said, the Nidalee, the Corky, the Caitlyn, the Lux, they counter Ivern super hard because of allowing vision. Whenever you put the brush maker on a teammate from Ivern and then T1 just Q you with Corky's phosphorus bomb, or you throw a trap in there, or you hit a Lux binding or an ult, it's going to give vision and then you're going to be able to do damage. So T1 win this match. Match number, what was it, 56? So I think that's it for the next level with Sodaron today, everyone. I'm sorry I cut my finger. It's kind of threw me off a bit. I've had a headache the entire time, so I'm not at the top of my game on this one. But again, you never know when. If you're a streamer or wanting to get into streaming, just start doing it. There's no right or wrong way. You just have to keep doing it every day and you'll get better. I mean, my stream might be better today than I think that it was. It's just I had a rough time getting through it. The start of my day and worrying about this, and I can't even. I'll show you the. I have to peck when I'm typing right now. I can't even type like my fingers doing that, so I'm have to press one by one. But don't give up. And that's what I'm trying to teach you here on the next level with Sodaron. So, I don't know if I'll do any more VOD review today or not. I usually do the Saturday show match, which is HLE and DK, or Gen G play KDF. I was wanting to do HLE and DK, but I didn't have time, so I'm trying to do some LEC stuff. Like today, I may have to skip LCK for the rest of this week and do G2's VOD review after today, so who knows, but I've got plenty of content I'll keep pumping out, guys. I just have to do it at my own pace and time. There's already 2 matches that really, if I had time, I'd do them, but I don't, so who knows. At least we're almost to a point where we won't have so many matches here every week, so I'll be able to do much better VOD reviews. There'll be series, And that's part of what I think I'm prepping for
It certainly
anyways.
did. I want to also
Because
give a
I'll
shout out
VOD
to Ono.
review
I
the
think that Ono
like
played
the
the early
LCK
game exceptionally well,
playoffs
making
and
sure that he could stay
probably
into the
LPL
end.
when they get to
Yes.
playoffs, but I won't have to worry about doing matches every single day
The Telecom.
because
So
they'll only
really
be
making
on weekends.
sure that he could,
All back into it just felt pretty flat.
Ah, I want that screen grab.
And perhaps the teams will think twice about pick and Zeri when the Caitlyn Lux lane is off. And perhaps the teams will think twice about pick and Zeri when the Caitlyn Lux lane is up because it just didn't.
So I'll start putting this stuff in the VOD as well. How do you... So that's it for today's Next Level with Sodaron, everybody. Thank you for joining. Make sure to follow my Twitch channel and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Tell your friends. See you next time. See you next time.